Devil's advocate. Hear the other side. Voices unheard, I won't let them hide. Brotherhood strong, yeah, we speak our truth. Real talk, only no filter, no proof. Average man with a weight on his chest. Say what we feel, put it all to the test. Work, pressure, silence we hold. Stories get buried, never get told. Talking it out, yeah, we open the door. Men go through things they can't ignore. Not just pain we feel, we rise. Sharpen the mind, cut through the lies. Devil's advocate. Yeah, the other side. Sisters and brothers all unified. Different views, but we keep it real. Say what we think, say what we feel. Yeah, the other side. Sisters and brothers all unified. Different views, but we keep it real. Say what we think, say what we feel. If you've been there, then you already know. Channel it live.
Yo, what is up, guys? TBD, what is up, my brother? Brent, love ya. Dustin, what is up? What is up? I didn't think you guys, I didn't think anyone would be here tonight. I'm just checking out this stream, so I'm just checking this a WhatsApp video. So I didn't, you know. The WhatsApp podcast, yes.
Step in the room. Yeah, I question it all.
Alvi, what is up, my brother? What is up?
Just answer the call.
Devil's advocate. Hear the
Missed
other
you, my
side.
brother. I haven't seen you in ages. I missed you.
Voices unheard. I won't let them hide.
Guys, you're amazing. Thanks for being here.
Brotherhood strong. Yeah, we speak our truth. Real talk only.
Oh, you're bored?
No filter, no proof.
I get it. I get it. That's why I wanted to check this video out. Is anyone bored? Let's check some stuff out. Let's check some videos out. I wanted to check out this What's Ever podcast video. So hopefully, you know, we'll all enjoy it. It'll be fun to check out. Please, excuse me. Please like the stream. Please like the stream. It helps me out. Please click the like button. I just called it the 304 Club. I agree, Justin. No doubt about that. The 304 Club, definitely that. I definitely agree. I agree along with you. All right, definitely. No doubt. TVD. Oh, you're about to go to sleep. I get it. Awesome. I know it's late over there. Yes. Yep. Like a comic book store. I know. I mean, I'm a big geek. I love it. All right. We got to enjoy it. We got to enjoy the lives that we have, right? We got to enjoy it. It is a Christmas show. Yes. Yes, guys. Definitely. All right, let's get started. Let's get started on this. I wanted to this is a long video, so I wanted to react to it, you know. Let's see if you guys haven't seen it, okay? Oh, it went forward, huh? I didn't know that. That's interesting. I remember those days. The time difference, quite crazy. All right. All right, let's get started. Have you ever given your opinion on Israel? Just just a gust of air. Have I ever given my opinion on Israel? Not really, right? What I've said this where Justin Justa from Twitch. In all honesty, I don't really care much about Israel. I don't care about anything besides America, in my opinion. I support Trump on a lot of things. One thing I don't really support Trump on, not necessarily. I understand why he's doing it. I don't necessarily support it, right? Like 100%. I don't really care about foreign affairs. Okay, I don't think we should give a shit about countries outside of the U.S. borders. I personally don't think we should care about countries outside of our borders. We should 100%, if not 90%, focus in our borders, right? Focus on what's happening on our borders. Now, things with Israel. I mean, to be honest, I can understand it. I don't what you're doing. I think it went forward, but it's stopping daylight. I think it's I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, right? I don't really, to be honest, I don't care about Israel. I don't care about Palestine. I don't care about the Ukraine. I don't care about any country because America first. America first. We should be focusing within our borders, right? We should be focusing on our American people. We should be focused on the building, bettering the lives of America. Now, once we focus like bettering the lives of America, then fine, right? Do whatever you want outside the country, right? Conquer or whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. But America first, right? If we are doing better, that's where I care about. Now, if I have to, like I said, if I have to have an opinion about Israel, I guess it's like it's an allied nation. So I understand if we're allies. I don't care about Greenland. I don't really care. Okay. To be honest, I don't think any country, any other nation is a threat to us. I understand why Trump cares about Greenland. I understand why Trump cares about Venezuela, the Middle East, right? To build. I understand why he's trying to, secure the Western Hemisphere. I understand it. That's why I'm not like 100% against it. I'm not 100% for it. Okay. Because to be honest, we have a lot of things to worry about within our country, right? Within our borders. So that's where I'm like, not 100% on board with it, but it's not like I don't understand it, right? I mean, it's to take control of the Western Hemisphere so no one would dare mess with us. I think no one dares mess with us right now, right? No one truly dares mess with us right now. So, I get it if you think for the future, but to be honest, I just think that no one would dare mess with us right now. Okay, no one would truly, because if we went all out on any nation, there's not any nation on this earth that can go toe to toe with us. I don't think China could. I don't think Russia could. Right? Actually, if we went all out, now of course we hold back because of whatever humanitarian, all that shit. So that's how I view it. Now, like I said, if we control more of the Western Hemisphere, it will make things easier, right? So we don't need to necessarily go all out to, persuade people not to mess with us, right? If we have Greenland, probably Russia won't even ever mess with us. If we have control of, the Western Hemisphere or, oil that goes to China wouldn't mess with us. I get it. Right? I get it. So I've tried to be as educated as possible or, to some degree about what's going on. But to be honest, I care more about what's happening within our borders, right? Bettering the lives of Americans first. And then if we are good, we could worry about other shit. I think if any country went all out, it would end with massive radiation damages that pretty much. Now, I don't mean all out in nuclear, because I think that it's a kill kind of thing, right? It's like we're going to all hurt if we're going to go all out nuclear. But I think all out is like our military, right? Even without nuclears, right? If we take nuclears off the table, right? If we take nuclears off the table, no country will mess with us. Like countries like China and Russia has nuclear weapons because it is to like, don't mess with us, right? It's like deterrence. But it doesn't mean that their military is even close to ours, right? They're not, in my opinion. Their military isn't close to ours, but they have, weapons of mass destruction that can even the playing field. So that's how I view it. Yeah, that is endgame. No one's that suicidal, right? It's gonna both kill each other. That's ridiculous, right? Even if you're losing a war, it's not necessarily the smartest where both sides go, nuclear. I don't think that would be the most logical thing to do, in my opinion. So, all right. So what are you thinking about the amount of homelessness? Again, Twitch people, right? Twitch. I don't get many Twitch viewers, so I don't mind giving them some airtime or talk to them. Right? So excuse me, guys. What do I think about the homelessness? To be honest, that's why I care more about us focusing within our borders, but this is, to be honest, we can't wipe up homelessness. I think there will be no such thing. Okay, we can't wipe out homelessness. There will always be mentally unwell people, right? There will always be people who do drugs and get into that situations. There will always be people who are irresponsible and get into those situations. So we won't be able to end homelessness. But again, I think if we focus within our borders, we can help mitigate it. Okay. I don't know how extreme homelessness is all around the nation. I know in certain pockets like California, homelessness is an extreme, but again, that's also due to the state itself, right? I mean, California has one of the highest, if not the highest, GDP in America. Yet, if they have such a extreme homelessness problem, what can anyone do, right? I think they have the most money out of any state, and yet they can't even make a dent in homelessness. It says a lot. Homeless people is a sucky thing. There's a lot that don't deserve it, but a lot get themselves there by making the choices that destroy life. I agree. That's why I believe that you can't end homelessness, right? You can't end homelessness, but hopefully we can mitigate it, okay, to some extent, because I think more people should be working, right? Controversially, I believe that illegal immigrants should be out the borders, should be out the countries, and jobs that will help, jobs that, that we don't want to do should be for the homeless, right? The people that are doing the constructions, they should be taking these jobs. They should be taking the jobs that, illegal immigrants would have been doing. So, that's how I view it. All right. Alvi, thank you for renewing your membership. All right. Guys, thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. All right. So, if there's no more opinions on other things, right? I mean, I'm always down to talk about anything and everything, right? I'm always down to talk about anything and everything. But let's continue. Let's continue. Let's start. We didn't even start, right? Poland parents shoot people who try to illegally enter. We need to start. I agree. We should. I mean, to be honest, I think we are too humanitarian. I think we're too nice. So I think we should be more extreme. We should be deleting the pedos in our nations. We should be deleting the murderers in our nation. So, I'm pretty extreme with that.
For hosting this. Thanks, Brianna, for coming. This is a debate I've wanted to have for a long time. It's very easy to debate like very woke leftist feminists and make them look kind of crazy. But I think that it's important that we have this discussion between women on the right as well, because I think we have a very serious problem in the media, especially with women who say they're right-wing, conservative, whatever kind of like term you want to use to say they're on that side of things. I think that just because you're not woke doesn't mean that you're conservative, and it doesn't mean that you're not feminist. So in Brianna's first appearance, she said that she came to the podcast to help men and women like heal the divide and find a way to have good relationships again. She said she wants both parties to recognize what the other party
Oh,
brings.
definitely, right? People who, like TBD says, right? Extreme crimes, right? People who do heinous crimes should be deleted. 100% deleted. We don't need you. We don't need you walking this earth. I don't care about you being rehabilitated. I don't believe you could. And even if you could, I don't care, right? We don't need you. I'm sorry. We don't need you. You're not a productive citizen. You're not a productive citizen. So you should be deleted, right? You should be deleted off of this earth. I'm sorry. Because I'd rather you not be a drain on the taxpayers.
The table. So we'll talk about the table for sure. But I think
Exactly. I find it funny that when we kick out folks or try to stack up money, the world hates us. I agree.
her view and understanding of what feminism is, like most people, is based on propaganda, fallacious views of history through presentism, and just ignorance, which I don't blame her for. I'm not like calling her an ignorant person. She's a smart person. But most of us just haven't gotten the real story. We've heard a lot of
Yo, Real Ray, my brother, I missed you. Thank you for stopping by.
things that we repeat and we don't really know why, and they're not exactly accurate. So I want to address some of that. I think that once I demonstrate that Driana actually holds a lot of more classical liberal egalitarian and therefore feminist views, what I predict is going to happen is she's probably going to want to obfuscate, do some stonewalling, and maybe even personal insults. Hopefully we don't have to go there. But I'm just going to keep redirecting it back to the topic and back to what we're here to discuss, which is feminism, especially among women on the right. Andrew calls them femcons, like feminist conservatives, but they're also kind of running a con, right? So
That's the thing where I believe that any Western world, right? Any world that has been touched by feminism, you're cooked. Your women are cooked. Now, it's not impossible to find women that's more conservative, truly conservative, right? Truly conservative, right? They're submissive, you know, they're traditional, they prefer to cook and clean. They know that you're the leader of the household, right? They know that you're the head of the household. They're obedient, they're submissive. They follow your lead, okay? You are the man. Truly traditional. None of the like, oh, half shit. None of the, she'll probably talk about her feminist views. So none of that bullshit, okay? But that's rare. That will be rare.
So Driana sees marriage more as a interpersonal legal
I agree, right? If I had to date a liberal or femcon, I'll probably date a liberal because at least she's honest. I seriously, if she's gonna lie about what type of person she is, right, what her views are, she's gonna lie about a whole lot of shit.
contract, whereas my view of marriage is a lifelong sacramental religious commitment. So we're going to have some, trying to find some common ground to talk about marriage from those very different worldviews. But the problem with this is that, she made this assertion that she's a capitalist and that she's coming at this from a conservative capitalist view. But right out of the gate in your last appearance, we saw that that's not the case because you said that you want things like prenuptial agreements, no-fault divorce, and the origins of no-fault divorce are Marxist in and of themselves. The first mention of such a thing was Frederick Engels, lifelong collaborator with Karl Marx, a revolutionary socialist. And then after he started to talk about marriage as this...
I do. I mean, every liberal is a liar. I mean, like, they're definitely living a lie, right? But I think femcons are, I think their lies are delusions, right? They're delusional, kind of mentally unstable. While femcons, I believe they know they're lying. They know they're manipulating you, right? They know that they're lying. So it's manipulation.
State contract, this no-fault divorce idea of what marriage could be, that was picked up by other people who then ran with it. The other problem that we have is this idea that women's unpaid domestic labor is capitalist, which was another assertion that you had that I would take issue with. That's another thing that is uniquely socialist and Marxist in its origins and in its nature. There were women like Marioso de la Costa and Selma James, whose work was adopted by socialist labor unions. They were the ones that came up with this idea of women's unpaid domestic labor in the home, and labor unions who wanted socialism ran with that because they thought it was a really good way to get women out of the home and into the workforce, where then the workers of the world could unite and we could get enough numbers on the socialist side to have a socialist revolution. So that is definitely not a capitalist position. That's a Marxist socialist position. And then you had this assertion to Andrew that people with prenuptial agreements get less divorce. And he argued that, okay, that could be correlated, but you can't prove that that's the cause or the reason. And I did a deep dive on that data, and he was absolutely correct. Instinctually, he didn't have data at the top of his head, but he knew that that was instinctually not causal. And when I dug into it, I in fact found that there are small like surveys they've done where it seems that people who have prenuptial agreements maybe have less divorce, but that's a selection bias issue, that people who have prenuptial agreements have higher incomes, they have more education. So there's nothing causal there saying a prenup is going to put you at less risk. It's more of a correlation. So I think there's just like a whole bunch of misunderstandings about this, and I'm super glad that we get to sit down and talk about this. The great Rush Limbaugh used to talk about the info babes at Fox News, the right-wing conservative media women.
That's also why, sadly, I don't really care about mainstream media, particularly even if it's Fox News, right? Because at the end of the day, I think Candace Owens was kind of an example of it, and now she's all over the place. A lot of these women, at the end of the day, one, they can be bought. Two, a lot of times they're just feminists in disguise, right? They are just feminists in disguise. I mean, like, I've rarely ever seen a woman that's decent looking, that's pushed out, right, to the masses, and then she's truly who she is, right? Usually it's a fake persona, right? Because later on, her views are drastically different, or, she's pretty much on the other side or whatever shit like that. So...
and say, hey, this is a problem because they're actually not conservative. They usually have a separate agenda for women. They usually have more of a classical liberal egalitarian view. And to me, that is feminist. I mean, feminism came out of the Great Enlightenment and the idea of egalitarianism, of trying to make everybody equal, social equality, social justice. So I'm happy to get into this and sort that out because I don't think it's a conversation we have enough.
And does that conclude your opening statement? Okay,
Yes, sir.
Go ahead with your opening statement, please.
Absolutely. Hi, guys. Happy to be here again. So for clarification, no, not a feminist in any way. For the first time in my life, I actually was called a feminist just a few weeks back when I was on the show by Rachel's husband. I'm pro-capitalism, pro-life. I'm pro-marriage, pro-children. I'm pro-Second Amendment, pro-small government. I am pro-U.S. Constitution, pro-homeschooling. And I believe taxation is theft. What I lovingly call repeal the 19th Rachel, and I disagree on, is that women have a right to vote and have equal rights under the law as men do. That's it. I am not here to argue in favor of feminism, and I really don't care about its history. My argument is that the root cause, like you mentioned, of most of our societal problems is the current disconnect between men and women, which has been encouraged by years by different entities, government entities, to divide and conquer us, put us at odds with one another. Not that women can finally vote. That's not what's causing it. And to help create a strong society with strong families.
To be honest, right, she probably doesn't understand that she's a feminist, but to say that, I mean, like, I also believe that, to be honest, I believe that women should have equal rights because, not because they deserve it, but I think women should have equal rights because now they have no one to blame but themselves, okay? Women have no one to blame but themselves. You can't blame a man because no man is controlling you, right? No man is in charge of you. No man is telling you what to do. So if your life is a fuck up, it is up to you. It's 100% your fault. That's why I love equal rights, right? That's why I want women to have equal rights, because at the end of the day, if your life is fucked up, you have no man to blame. You have no man to blame. You can't blame your father. You can't blame a man. You can't blame the man you dated. You can't blame your husband. You can't blame no fucking man. It is your fault, 100%. Okay? Now, women having the rights to vote has been a detriment, right? Has been a detriment on society. Okay? I believe it has. Because, to be honest, it's like, what has women's vote actually helped? I mean, it's like, we've had, like, ridiculous politicians on the Democrat side, right? Mandani, AOC, what is it? The Omar girl, right? All these things, like, I don't view women's ability to vote all that beneficial, right? Hasn't hasn't really been all that beneficial to society. Now, because you can look at it, right? You look at society. How great has society turned out since women gained their rights? Some could argue not that great.
We need to bridge this gap, yes, between men and women and get both sides to understand the other's inherent value. I also live in reality. We are currently in a never before seen scenario in history, right? Unaffordability is the highest it's ever been. The gap between wages and home prices is the largest it's ever been. I believe that's by design to keep us, pissed off in a rat race, unable to reflect on really, who's behind all of this so that we can unite as a society and fight back against it. At the same time, women and men, well, women specifically, have relatively recently achieved true legal and financial equality in history. In fact, Gen X, like Rachel here, because I think it was 1980, which is the cutoff, is the first generation of women to live under true equality in the US, which was achieved with the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. Before that, women couldn't have credit nor get loans without a male cosigner, and that's only 52 years ago. So for the first time in modern history, women are not financially dependent on men to live. And I argue that we should extract the positive things out of this crazy situation that we're in. And that's that since men and women don't financially need each other anymore, they can choose to come together for reasons other than financial reasons, like the character of the person and, I don't know, love. Good, loyal, smart, capable, intelligent, emotionally intelligent men see it as their time to shine, right? Because it's not about the money anymore. It's about being kind, equally competent as an adult, equally responsible for adult responsibilities, especially if you want to have a family. And this
Here's the thing where that's still a lie. It's still about the money. It's still about the money. That's the problem. That's a problem that a lot of these types of women don't understand. It's still about the money. No woman, neither her, is dating a bum, right? Who's dating a very highly moral man, great personality, kind man, great principles, great values. He's a gentleman. He's chivalrous, but he's pretty much average earner, right? Because you can find more of those men than the high value men. You can find more of the average earner men than the high value men. Yet we have a huge male loneliness epidemic, right? As a lot of people want to say. So it's still about the fucking money. Now, yeah, more, but that's worse, right? It's gotten a lot worse because now that, this is the thing where a lot of women don't understand. When women were making almost I'm hyperbolic, like zero money, a man that made, let's say, $50K a year, that's a man that made a lot, right? That's a man that made a lot because he made more than her, right? If she made zero money, like he made $50K a year, he made a whole lot more than her, right? Now, since she's making about $50K a year, him making $50K is nothing. That's nothing. That's not a lot of money because she's already making that. So now she has overinflated ego, right? Overinflated sense of self. Like, I deserve more. So 50K, hell with that. I want 100K. That is the mindset of a lot of women. And this is why women like this are the problem. You don't see the shit that you're spouting. Okay? You don't see how, honestly deluded you are. Because women aren't picking better. If women are picking better, divorces would be down, marriage would be up. Birth rates would be high. But women aren't picking better. Women are barely picking anything.
This is what most women want now, for those of you guys that are hearing this. For the first time, we all know that the economy is absolute shite right now, okay? And that raising a family on a single income is a luxury that most Americans can't afford. So instead of listening to...
Which is thanks to women, all right? Because women added, more bodies in the workforce. Again, that's thanks to women's rights. Now, love it, hate it, but that's the truth. More people in the workforce will increase taxes, decrease earnings.
Women-hating manosphere podcasts that call you men specifically losers unless you're making $1 million a year, and that say women are materialistic or promiscuous and therefore, they're responsible for the loneliness epidemic. I suggest listening to people that...
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, right? I mean, like, women are a growing population that's having huge amount of debt. women are outgrowing men in debt, right? So that's the insanity of a lot of women. Is that what you want? You want more debt? You want to be able to incur more debt is absolutely ridiculous, but that is the right of women, I guess.
Don't make a living off of dividing the sexes, right? And making the problem worse, which I think is evil. And if we're trying to promote strong traditional family units, well, which I am, despite the economy, men need to become the kind of leaders that women can look up to, can trust, and can depend on. And it's in a woman's nature to look for these things in men for partnership, which means men cutting vices that keep you weak, addicted, and with a warped sense of reality when it comes to women, like pornography, which a majority of men consume, and I argue is the single largest contributor to the decay in relationships between the sexes. And I think afterwards, women will naturally want to look forward to relationships with men more. Because why?
Oh yeah, I can believe that. That's why I was like, sometimes I'm starting to know her, right? I'm slowly getting to know Rachel more and more. She follows in her husband's footsteps, right? Follow in her husband's leadership.
Would a woman marry a man that watches porn?
And that's great, right? Men can't become leaders when your partner, right? When women think that they're equals to you, they're partners to you. How can men be? This is the problem. Men have not changed. It is women. Men were always leaders of the household. Guess what changed? Women did. It wasn't men. Men didn't change the status quo. Women did.
And thinks it's okay to do that while in a relationship, which in my book is emotional cheating. Or why would she marry a man that wants her to work and split bills, which I understand is the reality of most Americans, but then isn't equally competent or responsible partner when it comes to household duties or raising children. It just sounds like an irrational deal. Or worse, why would a woman want to give children to men who think being a stay-at-home mom has no inherent value? It's just what women are supposed to do when raising kids right is the pillar of a strong society, and the market value of what a stay-at-home mom does is extremely high. Or worse, nowadays there's men that say women that do want to be stay-at-home wives means that they're gold diggers, when nobody ever called grandma or great-grandma a gold digger for being a homemaker her entire
No one's calling a stay-at-home wife a gold digger. What the fuck are you talking about? No one's calling being a stay-at-home wife a gold digger. What? Ridiculous.
life, right? So the solution to our modern problems is in telling women that they shouldn't be allowed to vote or have financial independence, which is just a stupid, sexist, losing message for the right. But to make sure that men and women value the opposite sex and what they contribute to society. And the onus is on men to hold themselves accountable and become men worthy of leading a family, because women can't and shouldn't trust men or follow men that let vices or urges control them. And without strong men, women have had to step into their masculine energy and fill that void. And that's the problem we face.
Women are stepping into their masculine energy. Is this not feminist ideology? It's like literally she's spouting feminist ideology.
Not that women have rights, right? And if you disagree with basic human rights for women, then I suggest never to be a hypocrite and take a one-way trip to Iran where women don't have rights and can't vote, right? Just like I'd recommend communists here in the US to take a one-way flight to Cuba if they don't like it here so much. That's my closing statement, well, opening statement.
Okay, would either of you like to respond to anything you've heard there? Or?
Well, I think let's start with, what do you think feminism is? And then I'll tell you what I think feminism is.
So I don't really care because so many people have different definitions. I only care about two things, which is women voting and women having financial independence. That's it. I'm not here to argue for feminism and any other.
Independence from who? Independence from who? Independence from men. Financial independence from men. How are you not a feminist when that is clearly a feminist ideology? You need to be financially independent of men. That is clearly feminist ideology. Right? Don't be dependent on men. Okay, fine. I'm not here arguing that you should be, but that's literally feminist ideology. And here's the thing where you're saying that, oh, men need to level up so they can, provide for women. Provide for a woman that's financially, independent from me. So she has her escape plan ready, right? Whenever she decides to use, the great Western equalizer, divorce, right? This is the thing where, as a supposedly conservative, right? She's not arguing against how to, you know what, destroy divorce, right? Because divorce is pretty much the indicator of why our society has fallen, right? Divorce has. No fault divorce is the really direct correlators to why our society has fallen, right? And then she's pretty much arguing, hey, financial independence. No duh. What do you think no fault divorce is? It's literally able to create financial independence from men while you extract shit from men.
Way. Just a woman's right to vote and a woman's equal financial rights and opportunities as men. So egalitarian rights.
Okay.
That's it.
So almost everything that you stated as your values and the things you care about here and in your opening are actually classical liberal positions. They are not conservative positions. Are you aware of that?
Explain. Which ones?
So saying egalitarianism, that was part of the French Revolution, the ethos, liberty, equality, fraternity. That's a revolutionary classical liberal idea. It's not a right-wing conservative idea.
I don't care about, so this might be a short, debate. Who
Well, you
knows?
said you were a conservative,
Yes.
so.
Again, the only argument I'm making is that all citizens have inherent values. Doesn't matter the sex, doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter the nationality, ethnicity, or anything. I want you to make me an argument why you think that that shouldn't be the case, why women should be held,
So you said
not have the same
if
rights.
you don't like America, you can leave, right?
Yeah.
If you don't think America's the best, you can leave. We care about American foundational values,
Western
right?
values.
Okay, well, you said America, but let's just say Western. Okay, are you aware that this country was not founded on the idea of universal suffrage? That's a new progressive idea.
I know that it was not originally working that way, but the U.S. Constitution and the idea of the United States absolutely saw us all as equals. And then throughout the years, we had to super specifically define it because, it wasn't put that blatant from the beginning of time. But it's there in the Constitution that we all have inherent rights from God as equal human beings.
That's funny because it took until the progressive era to pass the 19th Amendment, which was a progressive piece of legislation. It was not conservative. So all I'm trying to do is say, please don't use the label conservative if you're actually a classical liberal. So let's just get that straight. All of your positions are classical liberal positions, and you're doing what a lot of MAGA babes do. They're like, I like Trump, and I want to deport illegals, and I'm not super woke, therefore I'm conservative. That's why I don't use the label conservative because it means nothing anymore because people like you are actually libertarians. You're classical liberals. You lean more progressive than not. And you call yourself conservative and then say, I'm the radical weirdo who's like this crazy person.
Yeah, well, there's limited amounts of titles on what to call people's individual political beliefs. There's usually just conservative, libertarian, Republican, Democrat.
Don't you have
and
a degree
everybody
though, in
has
political science?
And yeah. And
Yeah, so why are you not aware that you're a classical liberal?
No, because that wouldn't specifically define my ideas. My personal ideas are way too broad. You can't just
Okay.
put
What are
too
some
much
conservative positions that you have?
conservative positions. I believe taxation is theft. We should
That's
have
a libertarian idea.
which our founding fathers were very much for.
The
right?
first thing George Washington did was institute the tax, and we fought a whiskey rebellion over it. So no, the founders were not against taxation. Maybe the
against
income
taxation
tax.
without representation.
But we had
Absolutely.
representation, and they said, now that we have representation, we're going to tax you. So it is
Yes.
not a conservative idea to be completely against taxation. That is a libertarian idea.
It's
not necessarily taxation. It's just smaller government, right? So the government is not overtaxing you. Okay. This is the thing where I never said no to taxes. It's just no to like such a tax on everything, right? We have a tax on everything. We were never equals because of slavery and Indian reclassification. I mean, okay. I mean, I never, to be honest, I think being equal is, to be honest, it's kind of stupid. We're not equal to even, let's say this, right? In a world with like no slavery, in a world with no Indian reclassification, do you think that when I'm born and you're born, we're equal? I mean, literally, things in life happens differently, right? Things in life will happen differently. How your mom was raised, or how your father was, like how your genetics, right? Yeah, like seriously, my genetics compares to, like, let's say a black man's genetics. We're not equal. We are far from being people that are actually equal. So we are quite different. So I never think that. I'm glad that through the laws we are kind of equal, but I mean, in all realities, we are not equal, right? Men and women are truly not equal. inalienable rights. Okay. I mean, like, and I believe today, yes, we strive for as equal as possible, right? But I don't think human nature, human society, we're all that equal.
Yeah, and I still believe it's true that it is still theft.
So let's
because
find the conservative positions.
Because anything that is done through coercion, right, is theft. You don't pay taxes.
That's a
because
libertarian.
You want
That's a dyed-in-the-wool libertarian position, which is cool.
Fantastic.
I'm not even saying there's anything wrong
Fantastic.
with that. But then you're a libertarian.
You can't put that title on me because it doesn't also
Then
qualify
tell me
everything
any
that
position
I
you
believe
have,
in.
any position you have
Sure.
that's conservative.
So I believe in our Second Amendment rights, right?
That's also a classical liberal value.
Okay, so I'm a little bit of this and that, right?
No, you're just a classical liberal. I'm looking for one conservative.
But you just called me a libertarian just
That's
2
classical
seconds ago.
liberal is libertarian. They're the same thing.
So I'm a mix of both.
Political science major, by the way. Don't
Yeah.
go to college. It's a giant waste of money.
I
Just-
actually agree.
Antics, I love it, right? Hold me to my I was this is the thing where I love my chat because you know what? Hold me down to my ideals, right? Hold me to my opinions. If my opinions make sense or whatever, you know, just and I'm always willing to read and learn and, you know, expand. So definitely, I love you guys for it.
Agree with that.
Awesome.
I actually agree with that. You know, I went to school and I got my degrees, and thankfully I'm working in the field that I went to school for. But you can learn most everything about politics and international relations.
Well, I'm
by
still
staying
waiting
in the
to
loop
hear.
of
Let
things.
each other finish, please. Let
By
each other
staying in the
finish.
loop of things. I actually do tell people don't go to college unless you're going to go get a STEM degree. In fact, I think I got myself most of my positions by skipping classes and actually being active in the community and experiencing reality rather than just reading political theories and books, which I
Okay.
had to do as well.
Still
you
just want
can't-
one conservative.
You still
Just
can't-
one, and then I'll move on from this point. Just one actually conservative position.
conservative position.
Yes.
I'm very pro-family. I'm very pro-life. That is,
So you're against abortion.
yes, I'm against abortion.
And if you're pro-family, how do you feel about gay marriage?
I think that basically the government should have never gotten involved in marriage in the first place.
But you said you live in reality and that right now the government's involved and it's a government contract, which is why women need prenups and all this stuff. You said we live in reality. So
Yep.
we live in reality right now
Yep.
where gay marriage is legal. Are you
Yeah.
for that or against that?
If the gays want to come into a partnership together, then they should have legal protections.
so gay marriage, you're pro-gay marriage.
I'm not pro-gay marriage. I'm saying if two people want to live together and have to legally sign that they are in a civil union so that one can go to the hospital for the other and be admitted the same rights that married couples do, then they need to go do that. I'm in favor of that. But I don't think that the government should have gotten into marriage in the first place. The reality is, however, that marriage does afford certain privileges that unmarried couples do have.
Right.
So that's why
would
it's a legal
you,
advantage.
are you in favor then of
If you don't think that the government should get into marriage, then your whole idea of prenups are invalid. Because if the government is not didn't get their hands into marriage, we wouldn't have issues with no fault divorce, right? We wouldn't have issues with child support, with divorces. We wouldn't have issues with it, right? If the government didn't get their honestly overbearing hands in the people's marriages, we wouldn't have, I believe, the issues we have today with marriages. So it literally just made your points of you know, financial independence invalid.
gay marriage? Because it kind of dodged around. Do you just want civil unions that are different from then how I'm married or how you would get married?
I mean, most, I guess, gay couples, I think, just wanted the same legal rights and tax benefits of married couples, not the fact that.
I agree, right? Leave marriage to a religious thing. Because, like, you know, marriage is, in my opinion, more religious in nature than it is, you know, government, right? Whatever government, you know, it's the government shouldn't have their hands in, you know, people's marriages. I'm sorry. You know, you should be handling yourself. You know, that's the thing where I just, yeah.
They could get in a dress and a tuxedo and go in a church and get married, because then they would have to take it up with the church itself.
Right. See, and this is the problem with your libertarian position of turning marriage into a contract with the state, is that you have no grounds on which to say the gays can't get married.
It
because
has
your
always
reasons,
been. It
your
has-
reasons for men and women getting married are going to be the exact same reasons that you're going to say gay couples should get
It
married.
has always been, even before, you know, churches existed and Christianity and all that. Marriages, civil unions have always had some kind of legal contract and observed within the communities that, like in Rome, for example, right? There were certain privileges and certain responsibilities that were given to civilly married unions.
You're talking about pagan Rome or Christian Rome?
Before, yeah.
Pagan Rome?
Yep.
Okay.
And there's been, again, the union of man and woman since the beginning of time, right?
Yes.
Even in the Bible.
But
man
it was
and
not.
woman became
Wait, hold
one.
on. Let her finish.
Yeah, man and woman became one before God, not before the church, right? I think that's how I personally see marriage myself. I think that if two people want to come together and call themselves, a couple officially before God, that's it. And then obviously you're going to want to get legally married because of the benefits that exist. But that's what I care about. And again, that's just my personal opinion. I still want to, again, get an argument from you as to why women should not be able to vote. Why, Rachel?
Well, first,
Or why don't-
I
why
just
don't
let
you
you
just-
talk, so
yeah.
now I'm going to talk. So
Go
I'm going to
for it.
respond to everything you just said. First of all, you didn't give me a straight answer. You gave me a whole bunch of gobbledygook and wandering, meandering nonsense to say that basically, at the beginning of this and in your last appearance, you were like, oh, I live in reality where the government is a part of the contract. That's actually not true. So the first people to make marriage not a sacrament of the church, governed by the ecclesiastical authority of the church, was Alexander Kollontai under Vladimir Lenin during the Bolshevik Revolution. In 1917, Russia was the first place in the world that we had a state contract governed by the state with no-fault divorce. That is not a Christian institution. It's not even an ancient pagan institution, as you noted, but back in those days, even under pagans, it was more of a family contractual agreement where you're marrying for the purpose of two families kind of uniting, and a lot of things went into that. But no, this is brand new. This idea of marriage as just this personal contract you have with somebody that's governed by the state is only about 100 years old. And you basically just told me that you're pro-gay marriage. So I'll answer.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Then you have to answer either yes or no. Are you for gay marriage rights or not? You are for human rights. You're for rights. Are you for...
Under the law, yes.
Right. Are you
absolutely.
for gay marriage rights? Should gays be able to have the same legal marriage that men and women have?
Yes.
Okay, that's not a conservative position. So
In your opinion.
I'll answer your why should women not vote question as soon as you give me one position, just
What conservatives are for gay marriages? Maybe I'm crazy with how conservative views are, but I don't think being pro-gay is conservative at all, right? Actually, being pro-gay destroys conservative because conservative it circles around the nuclear family. You can't be gay and establish a nuclear family, right? So no, it's not per her view. It's just per conservative views. You can't be conservative and be pro-gay. You just can't.
one on anything where you're actually conservative at all.
I've just mentioned a few. I am, again, pro-life. I am pro-marriage. I am pro-small government.
So you would...
So
well,
I'm
small
pro
government is like
US
a fiscal...
Yes, fiscal conservative. I'm a constitutionalist, right? So yeah, all of those things constitute a lot of conservative values.
So you're pro-life.
Yes.
So you would be against abortion. And
This is why I say that, I'm not necessarily conservative. I always call myself center right. Now, while center right, I may have some conservative values, right? But, I'll try to lean into the middle, right? Because I'm not that extreme.
much all circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll give you that one. That's the only one that I can come up with that makes you anything remotely conservative. So good job on that. But why do I think women shouldn't vote? Well, I'll tell you why I think women shouldn't vote. So you did a lot of hard work trying to get Trump reelected. You're very pro-Trump, and you want to help Republicans, right? And part of the reason you don't like this gender war is because you're like, look, this is a terrible position for the right. You're alienating all the female voters, right?
Yes, that's partially correct. Yeah.
If women didn't vote anymore, we would never have another Democrat president. We would never have another Democrat Senate, and we would never have another Democrat Congress.
You're right, Rachel. You're
so that's
absolutely
one
right.
of the reasons that because of the values I hold, which are actually a lot more conservative, even though I don't like the term, I don't really care about Republicans versus Democrats. I think that the big tent Republicanism is just liberalism at a slower speed, like what you believe in. I don't believe in that. I'm a patriarchist. I'm an Orthodox Christian. I would be a monarchist if I could. But if we care about the things we say we care about, like small government, letting women vote ensures you will never have that again. The reason the 19th Amendment was passed.
You know what? A monarchist. That's interesting. I didn't know that, right? I am definitely a patriot, right? A patriot, right? I definitely believe in the country. I love the country.
Was because the progressive era liberals wanted to pass the income tax. They wanted to pass the Federal Reserve Act. They wanted a nanny state with welfare, and they wanted pro-immigration, open borders. And they knew that if you only let men vote, you're never going to get that agenda passed. The whole progressive agenda would have never been passed without women voting.
Okay.
And that's why I think that we should have some kind of restriction, as we had at the founding, where it's not just one person, one vote. There's a lot of ways you could do that. I'm not saying you have to just say no females voting, although I think that's a great idea, for a lot of reasons that we can get into. But you could do things like net positive taxpayers. You could do anything where you have to have skin in the game. But
I agree with the
if what you care about is keeping this conservative agenda that you say you want for us and the social and fiscal conservatism, the fastest way to ensure that you never get that passed is letting women vote.
That, you know what, I've adopted Andrew's position a lot, where I honestly believe that to be able to vote, you have to have some skin in the game. Okay, I believe married couples, controversially, probably heterosexual married couples. I believe people who work for the government, people who own things in the nation, right? You own your home, you own businesses, whatever. I think those are the people who vote. Yeah, I mean, like if you're married, right? Stuff like that, right? People who, you've done community. I mean, like you've been, I don't know, just whatever, right? Some services that, whatever, will say that, you've been a big part of the nation, right? Or you contribute to the nation, not just like, oh, you work at McDonald's, you should vote. Or not just because you go to college and you should vote. Not just because, I don't know, you're pro-Palestine, so you should vote. No.
Yes, Rachel, that is factually correct, because most women vote left-wing, right? Even though most white women do vote Republican after the 1980s for president. But you're making the argument that because people disagree with my personal political beliefs, that I should take away their right to vote. I'd like to, and I disagree with that. I think that the way to get people to vote how I want them to is by arguing that my ideas are better than somebody else's, not taking away somebody else's right to vote. Because then you'd have to make the argument, Rachel.
You can't. This is the thing where, I mean, guys, you know it better than me, right? Alan is a perfect example. Even if you can argue it logically, right? Even if you could argue it logically, there will still be millions of people who don't give a shit, right? Even if you are, like, there are so many people who don't want to listen, right? Who don't even listen to logic. There's so many people. They don't give a shit if you're logical or not. They don't care. Okay? Here's a woman that's honestly a feminist, but she don't believe it. So really, and you could be logical. You could say, that's a feminist belief. That's a feminist belief. But you know what? No, I'm not feminist. I'm not a feminist. That shows you that it doesn't matter, right? Being logical doesn't mean that you can change people's minds. Even if you're logic. Even if you say 2 + 2 is 4, it doesn't matter with the flat earthers, right? The people who believe in the earth is flat, do you think that they believe 2 + 2 is 4? Right? The people that believe that the earth is flat, do you honestly believe that they think that 2 + 2 = 4? I'm sorry, you don't. So, when you're delusional, when you're a hypocrite, when you are just insane, when you are so tied to your viewpoints, where you just can't see any other logic, you will do what you're going to do, regardless of what anyone says. So no, this is a thing where we will always have stupid people in this world, right? We will always have stubborn people in this world. Well, it's thanks to the government, supposedly, that they have to step in because of stupid people.
That we should take away black people's rights to vote, or that would be a good thing.
Why?
Because
Why would we have
let
to
me
say that?
finish. Because black people vote 80 to 90% Democrat in every presidential election, which is a racist, obviously, position to have. You don't tell people, and your ultimate solution isn't to stop people from voting because you don't get what you want. It's making arguments to convince said people that your ideas are better.
Well, I don't give a crap about democracy. I don't like the.
I'm glad you clarified
Yeah,
that.
I don't. I'm not a democracy enjoyer.
Okay.
I know that
Go to Iran?
I know you think that's Americanism, like the American ethos.
So many places.
America was not founded as a democracy.
It's a republic. America is not a democracy. It's a republic. So don't say go to Iran, because that don't make sense.
And if you went to school for this, I would expect that you would know more about this. It was not a universal suffrage democracy. It was a very extremely limited suffrage representative republic. That's not what we have now. So I am, if you want to call me the traditionalist, it's a representative republic.
It's a constitutional republic because the Constitution guarantees that individual rights aren't trampled upon, right? And that we still have certain things that we do vote on.
But then she literally just said it's a democracy. Now she's saying it's a republic.
Policy differences, but the Constitution gives everybody certain inalienable rights.
Yes,
and so that is what the country was founded upon.
This is what I have a problem with, though.
You have a problem with the Constitution?
Yes, I do have a problem with it. This is why, and I know you think that's some big dunk, like, oh, she's I can't believe she said that out loud, but I'm going to explain why, and everyone's going to agree with me. The fundamental flaw in our government is this idea that, oh, we can just keep changing it. So what it was founded as is not what it has become. We have become this ultra-progressive society, and that was built in. It's a fatal flaw. I'm not a constitutionalist. I don't believe in democracy, because democracy means every...
That's true, right? Like TBD said, like I said a few streams ago, democracy is two sides of the same coin. Whoever's the best liar. Yeah.
Everybody gets a say. I don't want everybody to have a say. I don't want people who have more to gain from voting to take money out of my pocket to have the same say as people who are net positive taxpayers.
I agree with you
I don't
on that.
want people who are contributing to the system. This is what it is, though. You have Somalian daycare scammers who are getting millions of dollars for free because of scams, but the rest of us have to go to work, and if we don't pay our taxes, the IRS is down our throats. They're about to put us in jail.
I agree.
You have welfare queens. You have people taking more from the system than they're getting. This is a terrible idea, and the inherent flaw is this idea that just because you live here, you should have a say in how the government is run.
Flaws, right? Let's work on those flaws instead of the blanket statement.
It's a fatal flaw. It's built in. It's
keep everybody that I don't like from voting.
Okay, but you didn't let me finish. It's not a bug. It's a feature. You can't take it out. Your classical liberal foundation of everybody has rights. You don't care about duties. You care about rights. You're going to say everyone should have rights. Okay, let's get into that then. Well, first of all, I want to go back to your assertion that we'd have to say black people can't vote. That's atrocious and ridiculous, and I didn't say that, and I wouldn't say that. However, if black women didn't vote, that would help. If white women didn't, if all women didn't vote, we would not be battling trans kids.
It's going to be quite the clip.
We wouldn't be battling. Yeah, it's going to be quite the clip. Women voting is the...
I agree. Black women shouldn't vote. I mean, it's like, this is a thing where, controversially, black community is a matriarchal community, right? The black community is a matriarchal community. Black men follow black women. So black women predominantly, right, vote Democrat. So black men follow suit. I believe, controversially, if we take out all black women's votes, black men would be more logical and vote by issues, vote by policies. I believe black men would be more logical and they would vote by policies and issues instead of, racism this, racism that, patriarchy this, white supremacy that. No. It's like, what can you do for me? What can you do for my community? What can you do for my people? Right? What can you do for my kids? What can you do for my family? That's what you should be voting for, right? Not because, the white man this, the white man that, that white man this. No, I'm sorry. That is what black women vote for, right? Vote on. Black women do not vote by policy. They vote by racism, right? They vote by which party is most racist, which party is combating racism, right? That's why they vote. And then since black men follow black women, they follow with women in the votes. So controversially, yes, we should get rid of black women's votes, right? Black women, if you want to vote, marry a man, have a husband, right? You have a husband and your vote is his vote, right? His vote is your vote. So you talk together and decide what you vote for, right? Have a conversation that makes fucking sense, and that's who you vote for, right? One vote, whole family. If black women want to vote, they got to marry a husband. Single mothers, I'm sorry, you're shit out of luck.
Larger issue, because This is why they wanted to give women the vote, because women are easily swayed, they're easily propagandized, they tend to vote on emotion. Don't interrupt me. I'm not quite done.
Let her finish. Hold on, let her finish.
It's not done. I'm not done.
Go ahead.
Women vote. They've done a lot of. I have a whole book on this at home that I'm reading, where they've done all this research on women and how and why they vote. And they will vote things like the Nixon-Kennedy election. Women voted for Kennedy not because they knew anything about policy or because he had better ideas. You're still stuck in this paradigm that we're in a war of ideas. Most women don't think that way. They're not going and researching the issues. They go, he's tan and handsome. I like him. He's bald and he's shiny on TV and I don't like him. I don't like his tone. And so they don't vote for him.
I think
this is like not my opinion. This is what they say in exit polling. This is what all of these political PACs who are desperately trying to get women's votes find when they do the research. Women vote for security.
Controversially, right? There has been polls or certain studies that have shown that the black community voted for Obama purely because of his skin tone, not because of any of his policies. I believe, and it's a study, right? It's a study of certain groups. So it's not like I'm not saying the studies is not saying every black person did that, but correlating these certain studies, I will probably say that I believe that majority, not all, but majority of black people that voted for Obama voted for him because he was black, right? Voted for him because he's black. Definitely voted for him because he was a black Democrat. I believe they definitely voted for him because he was a black Democrat. Now, if they could say a policy he has, I doubt it.
They vote for a nanny state, and they vote for progressive policies because those sound nicer. That's why in every political cycle, you see all these commercials coming from the Democrats going, Republicans want to take away school lunch, and they want to kill your grandma, and they don't want her to
Yeah, it's not racist to notice patterns.
Have her Medicare anymore, because women see that, and they're like, I have to protect the innocent.
Or you hold women of lesser value than men, and I disagree with that.
Okay, well, I'll prove to you that that's not true.
Okay.
Before the passage of the 19th Amendment, the groups, we had two groups. We had the pro-suffrage.
This is the thing where women don't have lesser values. They have a different value. Women's value is different than men. This is the problem with women like this. This is the problem with feminists. You say all this because you believe women are less valuable than you. No, bitch. Right? I believe women have different values than me. Right? Not lesser values, different values, right? Different values. It's just a different value, right? Like money, like US dollars, Canadian dollars, it's different values, right? They're different values. Different countries, different nations, they use different currencies, right? Just different. So, it's just a different value. You value them in a different way.
Side, and
why do you? Let
her finish.
We had two different groups, pro-suffrage and anti-suffrage. The vast majority of women were absolutely against the 19th Amendment and women's voting rights. Did all of those women also hate other women? Susan B. Anthony herself said if we'd left it up to women to pass women's voting rights, it never would have happened, that all their support came from progressive socialist men. So I'm asking you, my great-grandmother who did not think politics was the role of women, was she hateful toward women, or did she instinctively know that this was going to create the gender divide that you don't like? The gender divide you're trying to fight was caused by trying to politicize women and put them in men's roles and have them be involved in politics and government. Did those women hate women?
I don't care if a majority of women were against women's rights.
Well, you're accusing
let
me.
me finish. Let me finish because
let her finish.
I don't care if 99.9% of women were against women having equal values to men. It still doesn't take away from the fact that it is correct that women.
Did you not just promote a democracy before? A democracy is the majority, right? Here's this honestly low IQ bitch just constantly contradicting herself. You literally said, oh, you don't believe in democracy? You should go to Iran. And yet you just said out of your stupid ass mouth, I don't care if 99% of women da-da-da-da. Do you not understand what democracy is? Right? Like, seriously, question. Do you think Rachel Wilson is a covert feminist? Alpha, what is up? Now, do I believe Rachel Wilson is a covert feminist? No, right? I don't believe it. Now, this is a thing where I I could be wrong, but so far, the times I've seen her and heard her, I haven't heard anything she said that's very feminist in nature. Okay. So I don't believe so, right? But would I be surprised? No, right? I've said this before. I will say this, right? I'm very weary of any woman. I'm sorry. We live in if you live in the Western world, if your nation is touched by feminism, I believe majority, if not all women, have some feminist tendencies to them. Okay. So if you're lucky that you find a woman that hasn't, that's fighting off the feminist ideology, you are lucky. You are a lucky man, right? You're a lucky man that you found a woman that fought off the feminist ideologies. But a lot of women think that they are equal to you. A lot of women think that they should be partners, right? A lot of women have higher standards for you than they do for themselves, right? A lot of women expect you to provide as well as, cook, clean, and take care of the children as well. A lot of women think that, you should pay them for their domestic labors. A lot of women are feminists deep down, okay? Now, like I said, if you're lucky, you found a gold mine where she's not suffering from feminist poisoning. But that's lucky in the West, okay? Now, like I said, Rachel, again, I don't know her that well, right? I've seen more of her husband than I've seen of her. But what I've seen of her, I wouldn't call her a covert feminist, right?
Have equal values
Why?
to men because
You prefer it?
no, because this country was founded on protecting the minority, right?
No, it wasn't.
Let me finish, Rachel. This country was founded to protect.
Country was not founded to protect the minority. What the fuck are you talking about? Literally, we had slaves, right? Slaves were the minority. It wasn't founded to protect the minority. No, it was founded to protect, Christian white people, right? It's just Christian white people, right? Christian Europeans came to this world to escape prosecution or to find a way to, establish their freedoms. Not in a way to protect minorities. No, it's a selfish act. They did it for themselves, right? They did it so they can have a better life. They did it so they can, do what they want. Not founded to protect any minorities. What a stupid idea.
The individual, right? We're not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic because we all have inherent value. So it does not matter that 99.9% of the population wants something if it tramples on the individual's rights, Rachel. This is basic stuff.
Okay, now
from
we're getting
school.
somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere.
And so again, it doesn't matter if somebody that supported women's suffrage, so women voting, was a literal witch, a Satanist, a Marxist, or whatever. I don't care. It doesn't take anything away from the fact that it is still right that men and women have equal value when it comes to representation, right?
How's that not feminist ideology? Thank you, my brother. Alpha, thank you, my brother. I like to a little bit of spice, right? How is that not a feminist ideology? What the hell is it? Like, seriously, how is this woman not understanding that you have feminist ideology? Here is a covert feminist. Have the audacity to call her right wing. Have the audacity to call her, a conservative. This is the problem I have, right? This is the problem I have with Republicans, with conservatives, with the right wing. A lot of the women are they're no better. They're no better, right, than the left, right? Well, maybe they're not as crazy, right? But still, they've been touched by feminists. They're covert feminists, right? Women in the right wing, women that are conservatives, a lot of women are still covert feminists. They're covert feminists, right? They believe that they're equal to you in value. No, you're not equal to men in value. You have a different value.
Does not matter that men are physically stronger than women, and that's why they should then be the ones to vote, because ballots are not the same thing as barbells, Rachel. And again, this is why I am glad to be here.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm glad.
Tiffany, what are you doing?
I'm glad.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm glad to be here because I equally think that there's really toxic voices in the conservative red pill movement that are putting so many people off from what our side really is about. And some people think,
yeah, your side is no different than feminist point of views. Literally, This is a problem with like women like this. The problem is, right, with a lot of women that they think that they're equal to men, right? Hell, the problem is they think they're above men, right? Women are not, they don't even see men of equal value anymore, right? They don't care about average men. They look down on average men.
That in the Redpill movement, you know, all these women just want to take away women's rights. And like Andrew Breitbart said, that politics is downstream from culture. There's a lot of people in this, manosphere, which I include you in that, you know.
Me and Andrew both debate against manosphere, guys.
Yes,
so.
But you have a lot of similar opinions, which is that women don't have equal value to men and that they should not vote. And
Oh, God.
I think that's toxic, and it's part of the culture, and it is flowing downstream, and it is affecting politics. And as a result, Rachel, young women in this country are the most left-wing they've ever been in history before. I wonder what that is, and I wonder if telling those young girls that they, you know, are not smart enough to vote, that they are not emotionally mature enough to vote, is going to bring them to our side. I think that that is a personal thing as well. Like as an individual, you seem to have a higher emotionality rate than myself, and the same goes for men. That can vary.
You just talk and talk and talk. You're just gish galloping. This is a gish gallop. But it has to be a back and forth exchange. I don't want to hear about your all you just gave me was emotions. You just gave me a whole I feel like this and I think that
No, I didn't feel and I think. I gave you specific examples. But now I'll turn it back over to you again, Rachel. Why shouldn't women vote?
Might I quickly ask a moderation question here? You had posited that women turning to becoming more left-leaning is because of sentiments that Rachel holds.
Yeah.
Rachel, do you believe that this trend in women becoming more left-wing is because of the some of this rhetoric, or?
Well, I'll answer that in a second, but first I want to point out that she's a contradiction machine. I had to wait and wait and wait for, yes, first you were like, ooh, I got her, she doesn't believe in democracy, ooh, that's a good clip, I'm going to tell everybody she doesn't believe in democracy, and then you said, we're not a democracy, we're a representative republic. So which is it? Do you believe in democracy or no?
I believe in democracy because a constitutional republic is a mix of a constitution that holds specific inalienable rights for people, and then a democracy where people vote on things that are not up for debate. Do you understand those two concepts?
Of course I do.
Okay,
You're the one that doesn't understand those two concepts because you don't understand the difference between the founding form of government and the one we have now. You want universal suffrage. That's a progressive position. You just contradicted yourself on multiple counts. You said, if I don't agree with women voting, that means I hate women. And I said, the vast majority of women never wanted votes. They didn't want votes for women. They even banned women from voting on whether they wanted to vote. It's my turn now. I know
It does matter because it shows your contradiction.
you're waiting to speak, but let me finish. Women didn't want to vote. They weren't hateful. I don't hate women. I'm not emotional. I'm overly emotional here or something. I'm saying that women are of equal value. That doesn't mean that they have the same roles as men. What you're doing is muddying the waters and saying, unless we're the same across the board, that's inequality. Again, a leftist position. Time after time after time, you say you're for liberty, you say you're for rights, you say you're conservative, but every idea you articulate is a left-wing progressive idea. And you keep contradicting yourself. Your worldview is, no, I haven't contradicted myself at all.
Okay.
Sure. Me not wanting women to be involved in politics does not in any way mean that I hate them. In fact, it's out of love for them that I don't want them involved in this sort of stuff. For the same reason, I don't want them
right now with this debate that we're having in front of a ton of people.
No, pro-suffrage and anti-suffrage women debated. But, women can talk to each other, and women have always debated each other.
Why not do that at home? Why in front of an audience of people? Isn't that getting directly involved in politics?
No, it's not.
Wanting to influence politics because we're arguing here for different political prescriptions, right? For what we think is best for society.
Or you could be, social, right? It could be social order, social ideas, right?
And somebody that might be watching might think, Rachel's a hypocrite because she's, over here debating instead of being at home with the kids like a good conservative woman should do. I'm against that, by the way. I don't think that should be the case. But what would you say to those people?
I've addressed this criticism so many times. And if you had prepared at all for this debate, if you had watched any of my stuff, you'd know what my answer to this is already.
Go for it.
It was never the case that women couldn't speak in public. It was never the case that women couldn't have opinions, couldn't write books, couldn't have, discourse in public.
Sure about that?
It's what?
You're sure? Okay,
I'm sure about that. Yes, that is a commonly held myth that women, people think that women were not allowed. If women were not allowed, how come we had suffragists and feminists publicly speaking, writing books, doing speaking tours, doing debates from the 1700s on? And even before that, my book has a whole chapter where I give multiple examples of women being able to have a voice. Just because they couldn't vote or hold political office, just because there were limitations, that's not oppression. Again, that's a leftist position. For you to say women have to be able to do everything men can do, there should be no gendered roles, we should all have all options open. That's a progressive position. So you're saying women should be able to do anything men can do.
I never said that.
Yeah, if men can vote, women should be able to vote.
If men can, and financial rights, yes, but not do everything men can do.
Why? Why should it be the case that women should be able to vote?
Why? Because we have equal inherent values as human beings.
Says who?
Says me. Says
you.
God. right? You know, that
No.
we are also
Where does God's
equal as well. But let's
we
go
have
back.
equal value. No,
Let's go
we're not
back.
going to go back. Equal rights. Explain equal rights to me. Why do all
Rights
people have the exact
because
same rights?
are representative of values. I'll go back to the argument of, you know, how certain people shouldn't have equal voice because of, you know, their tax contributions in the U.S.
So
and whatnot.
you
But
don't believe all people should vote. So you don't believe So you don't believe all people should vote.
Let me finish. To get to the point, the more recent point we were making, you said that a women could freely express themselves and, you know, do all of that. Are you denying that women were, I guess, silenced in any way, shape, or form in recent history, let's say in the 19th century, the 20th century, that women, you know, if they tried to be vocal about their beliefs, that they were not repressed in any kind of way, yes or no?
If you're talking about like stigma, like people didn't like it or it was looked down upon, so what? I'm saying it was not illegal.
No, I'm not talking
It was
about
never
stigma.
illegal.
Let Rachel finish.
To that to that point then, it is clear and documented reality, for example, that if women, even in the 20th century, right, up until the 1960s.
Yeah, it's like God, man, women, right? And then children. You're not equal. You're not equal to men.
We are still doing lobotomies on people here in the U.S. and lobotomies on women. So
On just women?
No, not just
This
women.
is another myth. I'm glad you brought this
Let me
up.
finish talking.
Uh-huh.
Not
Go
just
ahead.
women, but a majority of women. Absolutely, yes. This was happening in the U.S. still in the 1960s. So loud, opinionated women could be easily diagnosed with something like hysteria or anxiety or anything, be carted off to an institution.
How's the shit she's saying not feminine? Not like, could you be surprised if a feminist said the same thing she said? Could you? I mean, like, what did she say that a feminist wouldn't say?
And then be recommended different medications like opium.
That's why I think it's ridiculous.
Themselves.
Yes, they
See
can.
those
And
statistics.
if they get my book, they're going to read all about that too. Clearly, you didn't read the book. You could have saved yourself so much time with all these
Sure.
bad arguments if you had taken the time to have them debunked before this. But no, men were also locked up in mental institutions, forced to give in lobotomies. That was not a gender-specific thing whatsoever.
Yes, it was.
There's always, no, let me clarify. Let me help you here. I'm going to educate you a little bit. Women have always, everywhere, in every culture, and this is verified right now by two huge studies that looked at all different cultures around the world in 2009, and then they did a follow-up several years later. It's called The Paradox of Women's Happiness. Women everywhere are more prone to mental illness, anxiety, depression, and all types of mental problems. That is not men oppressing us. That happens to be a fact of how women are. And yes, most of it's biology and hormones, but a lot of it is just the fact that female constitutions are much more susceptible to negative effect. This is a
suicides are men.
well-established fact in clinical psychology as well. They wouldn't even deny it.
Yeah.
Yes, more men commit suicides, but women attempt it more. Men are just better at actually following through. You know, it's that whole men being better at stuff thing again, I guess. But so that's a lie what you just told. And let's go back to this idea that, like, do you think that all
It is true, right? I mean, more women than ever are on antidepressants or some form of mental medication. It's like, this is my problem with these fucking fake ass conservatives. It's like, are you kidding me? And it's a well-known fact that yeah, men commit self-deletion more, but yet women, you know, men go through with self-deletion more. Women try to commit deletion more.
men everywhere could vote before the
We are better at it. Yes, we are better at it, but doesn't mean that we do it more.
19th? Do you think that it was all the men who vote and they were like, don't let the girls vote, you guys. We have to keep our
No,
foot
there
on
were
their
property.
neck.
There were property rights. There were property distinctions. So some men that didn't own property could not vote. There were a lot of requirements. There were literacy
Yes.
tests as well.
Yes.
So yes,
There were poll taxes, there were religious restrictions, there were all kinds of restrictions on men's voting.
All of them that were deemed what unconstitutional, Rachel, right?
After
what?
After the progressive era, when progressives took control of the government, they passed the 19th Amendment. That was a progressive agenda, ma'am. You're
The
not
US
a conservative.
the
I hate to break this to you.
Constitution-
You are a
the-
liberal progressive.
The U.S. Constitution being clarified is not a progressive thing, right? Making sure throughout the years that it is.
There's not a clarification when you add to it, right? It's not really a clarification when you add to it. When you add new things to it. Now, it's a clarification when you try to change existing things. It's not a clarification when you add new things.
Clarified that all people have the same equal rights, inherent value, and voting rights is not a progressive issue. That's what you're choosing to call it.
It radically,
You're choosing
no,
to call
that's not true. It radically
progressive.
transforms the identity of this country.
I'm choosing to call it steps in the right direction towards individual liberties, which conservatives believe in. Conservatives believe in the rights of the individual. If you are against that, then you are not conservative. right?
Don't conservatives believe in the rights of the family? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I'm not saying I'm a conservative or anything.
The label conservative.
And
You're the one who uses the label conservative, not me.
broadly
and I'm telling you,
conservative.
you're not conservative.
And I also have libertarian values too. You know, you can't really put people in two boxes like that nowadays because not everybody's opinions on every single little topic, there's like 200 different things we can discuss, is going to fall cleanly into conservative or libertarian.
So what you want to conserve is Obama-era policies. You want to. What are you conserving? Any. I'm asking you one thing you're conserving.
Name one.
What are you conserving?
No, you just said Obama-era
gay
policy.
marriage.
Obama. Oh my God. That again.
You want to conserve Obama-era politics. You can't give me any conservative position you hold that you want to. What are you conserving? This is why I don't call myself Republican. Why I don't call myself conservative.
That's what I'm conserving.
Freedom to marry your boyfriend and smoke weed and not pay taxes. Okay.
Individual liberties for another generation. Your freedom of speech, Rachel. I am very much trying to conserve that because if it wasn't for conservatives, then all of your opinions. You know, if we're not under this administration that we currently are right now, if we were under a government like the UK's, you'd probably be put in jail as soon as this podcast was over for saying something like, "I'd be happy that black women wouldn't vote," and a bunch of other.
I didn't say that. Wait. We have to back that up because I did not say that.
Remember the words, but you said it'd be beneficial for black women to not black women to not vote because they would
No.
Hold on, just for the purposes of clarity.
You said
what are you asserting?
Do you want to like play it back? Her clip
It's
on
difficult
it?
for us to.
I can tell you exactly what happened.
so-
She said, "Oh, if you're going to deny votes based on sex, then you're also going to have to not let black people vote." And I said,
That's
"That's
not what I said.
absurd." You said you would have to,
That's
and
not what I said.
I said I absolutely would not say that you would ever have to say black people can't vote. I'm not for that. I'm against that. I do not believe that race should be the defining factor in who gets to vote whatsoever.
Yes. But gender
should be part of it, and I'll tell you why. Women do not have to sign up for the draft. Women do not have to defend this country with their bodies. In fact, the anti-suffragists articulated this and said,
I disagree
"We
with the
don't
drafts.
want to be involved with politics." Let me finish. Let me finish.
Disagree
The
with
women
the
who
drafts.
didn't want to be political equals with men said, "Why would you task us with something we can't do? We can't defend the borders. We can't defend the nation. We can't rule the nation. Men have the monopoly on force. That's for men to do. We want men to protect us and our children. Our role is to raise the children. That's too important. We can't be involved in politics
So it's
for that
important
reason."
for women to raise children, right? It's an
Yes.
important role, right? A role important and equal enough for them to vote on the future of this country and the rules that they live by, right? Or do you think it's not important enough for
Your vote is your husband's vote. Your vote is your husband's vote, not your own vote.
the role for them to vote?
The problem with that is it comes down to force. So you can have an opinion, and women
Really? Did you guys hear Canada had a vote if the government can change the Bible? That's crazy. What did Canada? What was the result of that?
So you don't need voting rights in order to have your voice be heard. A good example of this is prohibition. The Women's Temperance Union got prohibition passed. Bad idea, by the way, but somebody listened to the women, so we got prohibition passed because this was a pet project of the Women's Christian Temperance Union. They did not need to vote to get their voices heard. They did not need to vote to have their agenda passed. So you don't need
So why
voting
does it
rights
matter
to be
then?
heard.
So why does it matter then that they do have it?
Because what happens, this is what the anti-suffragists also predicted. They were very smart women. These women were not hateful and they were not stupid, and they've been done dirty by history, which is why I'm here trying to help revive this. Anti-suffrage women said, if we become a political bloc, we lose the moral high ground. What will happen is politicians will pander to us. They will make us just another voting bloc. They will promise a whole bunch of things that sound really good and do what they want anyway.
Don't they do it already
by
for
that,
everybody?
yes, they do, which is why I'm against it. So I don't like the system.
For men and for women.
Yeah, that's why I
Politicians do
don't
it for
like
men.
democracy. It's why I don't like the system. But that aside, these women said,
we're clarifying that
if
again.
we become just another political voting bloc, we lose the moral high ground we have. Before women could vote, they could stand up and say, we think you need to do something about clean water. We think you need to do something about safety in public parks. We want better schools. We want more prohibitions on alcohol. Whatever it was, their agenda was heard and got passed without them having to vote.
Unless it was something completely too radical, right? And in that case, then they'd be sent to an institution for crazy people and lobotomized.
They did that to men too. They did that to radical men too. It was not
Absolutely.
a gendered thing.
Basically, individuals, right? People that have a way of thinking that was more individualist. Those are the ones that usually get shut down and have their rights trampled upon in history, which is, again, why it is so necessary for the
So it didn't pass. Oh, that's crazy. Well, I mean, that's good that it didn't pass, but crazy that it was even tried.
individual to have equal voting rights and an equal voice within the political system that they have to live under. If we were anywhere else, outside of this podcast and debate right now, we'd have to stop talking right now because, there's no point in trying to convince somebody that, an individual has human rights, equal rights, and we're just going to have to agree to disagree on.
Human rights are, so it's like, this is a thing where it's just weird. Like, no one's saying that women shouldn't have human rights, okay? I just don't think that women should be able to cancel their man's rights, right? Or their man's votes. And to be honest, I do agree that women, anyone, right? You shouldn't be voting if you don't have a stake in the game.
And make it clear to the public on where we stand.
So it shouldn't be gender-based. Shouldn't be race based. It should be, I don't know, just like like I said, more something deeper, right? Something more deeper. We should stop thinking so much about race and gender.
On your stance being anti-women's rights, anti-voting rights, anti-equality. And my whole point here is to just make it clear that that is the case, and that that is not representative of the conservative movement of a whole, and that it is counteractive, counterintuitive, and a negative thing for us, because it's just turning more young women to the left seeing these kinds of positions.
You don't think the fact that we have to pander to the emotions of young women, what you just told me is, Rachel, don't say that out loud, because we have to pander to the feelings of young women because they have a lot of voting power, they have a lot of political power, and so we have to tell them what they want to hear, and we have to give them what they want.
The truth.
We
Hold
have,
on, let her finish.
we have to tell them what they want to hear. We have to give them what they want. Because if we don't, they won't vote for us anymore, Rachel. Don't you think that's a problem? And
You don't care about voting.
I'm saying that you're thinking about it wrong, and most people do. The whole framing of how you're framing the argument is the problem. The system is the problem. We shouldn't have to appeal to the emotions of certain voting blocks, which is what Black Lives Matter is, which is what the feminist agenda is, which is what identity politics is. When you give everybody one person, one vote, you end up with all these special interest groups. You end up with all these little voting blocks, and politicians have to pander to them. And so you get these radicalized movements fighting for this group's rights and that group's rights. And I'm saying I do think that we've ended up in a place where, with your universal democracy, where everybody gets a vote, we're going to end up in nonstop, like, basic gang wars, political gang wars.
All
So
I'm
that's the
hearing
problem.
is that you're really bad at making an argument for what you believe in, and would rather just shut down the entire political discourse and keep people from having an opinion. My argument is that I think that what I believe in is good, and that I can present.
Here's the thing: where her argument, we're living it. Her argument, we're living it. All right. While Rachel's argument, we used to live it. All right, and supposedly conservative values look towards it. Right. Conservative values, conservatives look towards the time where what Rachel is saying. Okay, conservatives don't look at the times that this woman, what is it, Sixto? I think her name is Sixto saying, which is a crazy ass name, is saying. No, her view is modern feminism. Her modern is liberalism, right? It's like we are living it. So she's literally saying that during a time where, you know what, you may see that it could be beneficial, right? But we are living during the time what you are describing. Right? The times we are now living, that is the world that you're talking about. Is it a good world? Are we doing amazingly?
My opinions to people that disagree with them and flip them over to my side because my opinions are based on realities and facts. And again, if you're trying to argue that it's bad for women to vote because a majority of women vote Democrat, right, in the past, and we're trying to get women, or we're trying to live under conservative policies, then again, you'd have to say that you'd be okay with people that disagree with you not having political rights, voting rights, namely Black Americans, that 80 to 90% vote Democrat in political.
No, she didn't say Black Americans. She said Black women. Right? She didn't say Black Americans. She said Black women. Okay? Black Americans would mean that it'd be women and men. No, she said Black women. And I will say it too. Yes. But Black women should not be able to vote. I'm sorry. Same with other women. Because honestly, you want to vote, get married.
Presidential elections. And I'm saying that
vote for conservatives. She's going to talk. It always reduces to the men.
You're
It always, no, you're just, you're exactly what I thought you were. You're worse than I thought you were. It's always, what about the men though? I go, are you going to tell them, are you going to tell the women to stop, wait a minute. Are you going to tell the women to stop making porn for men to consume? And she goes, no, I would just encourage them. I would say
That
you
was not your
probably
question.
shouldn't,
No, that was not
sweetie.
your
And I'm
question.
going to tell the men that they can't have the porn.
Relax, Rachel, breathe. Who's so?
I'm entertaining. If we had to listen to you blah, blah, yap, yap, yap all night long, and everybody would leave the chat. Nobody would want to be here. So.
Sure. That is not what I said. You asked if I'd make it illegal.
Yeah.
And no, but I would tell women
Yo, what's up, Alan?
to stop doing it. Those are two completely different
Oh, well,
things.
that's okay. She's going to tell the women to stop doing it, and they're going to go, okay.
Show them that there's a better way. Yes, absolutely.
Well,
that is what you do,
got to work
Rachel,
harder.
in
You
the
got to work
public-
harder
in the
because it ain't
public
working.
discourse.
It ain't working. This
How you doing, my brother?
up was it the Stanford prison study?
Oh, I did.
Yeah,
in the last,
where you said they had to stop the experiment 6 weeks in or something
Do you
like
want
that.
me to are you handing it over to me?
Oh,
for me
yeah,
to
tell us about that.
Let's talk about that because it actually is it's a really good one where basically they took in volunteers, students to play as prison guards and another group of volunteers to be prisoners. And what happened after a certain short period of time is that these prison guards started to abuse these fake prisoners so badly that they had to stop the experiment. And my argument using that example was that when individuals have undue power over others, then it is just making it prone to abuse, right? So if men and women don't have equal voting rights and power, then women are equally subject.
Pause for just a second. I just wanted you to tell me about the study. I didn't need like a whole diatribe
and discrimination. That's the point of the study, is that it is in our nature, unfortunately, as humans to take over and abuse those that have less power than us, which is why we need to have
equal rights. Then let me ask you a question. Why didn't they just pull these people aside, the people that were being the prison guard? Why didn't they get Drianna to come in?
Drianna was not allowed to come in.
Okay, well, let's say Drianna, they call Drianna and they go, you need to come in here, and what we need you to do is talk to them and convince them why it's bad to abuse these people. You need to educate them, Drianna, until they behave.
Yeah, I would have gone in there and told them, hey, you guys, are y'all crazy? Are you guys okay?
Yeah.
Do you know that
Can you
this
go
is
to
an
the prisons
experiment?
for us? Can we get Drianna to go to prisons and just talk to the criminals until the criminals understand, hey, listen, buddy.
Are you okay, Rachel? Relax, by the way.
Listen, buddy.
By the way, they do that in real prisons, right?
How's that working?
You've got pastors that go to real prisons.
And what is the success rate on educating criminals out of doing crime?
And they bring them books.
Yeah, what's the success rate?
And they bring them Bibles.
I know what they do.
Right?
How well does it work?
I don't have statistical numbers in front of me. You want to pull that up, Brian?
Almost never. The recidivism rate for most crimes.
Don't bring up statistics.
Don't bring up statistics because then I'll be wrong.
Unless you don't have it with you, basically.
We can look it up.
So let's chat GPT.
Like a recidivism rate for violent crimes.
That has nothing to do with somebody going in and talking to people to try to.
But why would they keep offending if we can just talk them out of it? We just say, "Listen, Mr. Murderer,
not everybody's
you
going
just need to be educated." This is another classic left wing. This is Black Lives Matter's whole thing. Yes, this is. If you go to Black Lives Matter's website, they want rehabilitation. They want to educate people out of doing crime. It's a left wing position.
Oh
no, we're just going to convince them. We're just going to convince people to do what's right for them. We're going to convince people to take the smarter option.
Take a breath.
Yeah, you're doing the thing that everybody does, where they pretend that.
Dude, that's like the furthest I've ever heard you go. Do you genuinely think that women shouldn't be able to vote, or is it just for the camera? No, I do. I mean, like, it's not women, right? I'm not necessarily basing on women. I think a lot of people shouldn't be able to vote. Alan, we talked about this before. I don't know what you're talking about. We talked about this before. I think a lot of people shouldn't be able to vote. I think if a woman wants to vote, work for the government, be in the military, have a husband, right? Own a business, own a well-established business, right? You want to vote? Don't vote based on your gender, right? We shouldn't be able to get a vote just because you're a citizen. In my opinion, you should be able to vote because you pay a good amount of taxes. You pay a lot in taxes. You've been in the military, or you worked. I mean, you've been in the military before. You work for the government, before. You have a family, right? You have an actual, in my opinion, heterosexual family. Those are things that qualifiers, right? I think you should have qualifiers to vote besides just being a citizen. Okay, I think we're making it way too easy, and we have ill-informed people, right, voting. Okay, we have ill-informed people voting. Like I've said this before, majority of personal belief, right? Personal belief. I'm not saying that I have clear stats on it, but personal belief. I believe the majority of people that voted for Obama, they voted for him purely because he's black. So many people for Hillary, for Kamala. Plenty of women said that they voted for her because they were women. That is it. Not because of a policy, not because, whatever talking points they had, purely because of their gender or their race. I believe that is stupid, right? You shouldn't be voting purely for something so inconsequential, right? Like your gender and race. What policies do they have? Most people wouldn't even know, right? So that's why I say, I'm not saying that women, just because you're a woman, you shouldn't vote. No, I think just because, you're unmarried and you worked at McDonald's, yeah, you shouldn't vote. You're unmarried and, you're a bum. You're a man, right? You're a man. You're unmarried. You're a bum living in your mother's basement. You shouldn't be able to vote just because, you go to activism, protests and shit like that. No. So not because you're a woman or anything.
The other person is crashing out when they're not. It's not going to work. You're getting your butt whooped.
Let's see if any programs in prison from pastors or that reintegrate people into society, get them educational degrees. But the why is because then it sets a dangerous precedent for censorship in the future on things that other people don't like. Because let's say then we fall under the government. Let me finish. Let's say we fall under the government of we have a Democrat president, and they believe that people saying right-wing things on live shows like this is bad. So we are going to ban that. And they did, by the way, under the Biden administration. So that's what I'm saying. Banning things that we don't like and making it illegal is not the way to go. The way to go is showing people why you're right with arguments, with facts, with logic. And we can't set the precedent that, we as conservatives and Republicans don't like pornography. It's bad. Therefore, we're going to make it illegal. Then when a Democrat president comes along, they'll say Republicans that
I get your point. You don't have to keep repeating and
I
repeating.
feel like I need to for you to
No,
understand
it's not me
So you
who's
got
having
it, and
trouble
everybody at home
tracking.
got it that it's a bad precedent. Do you understand that
If
then?
you take the libertarian progressive view that you have, sure. But what I would say is, we believe in right and wrong, don't we?
Yep.
Okay, why don't we make things illegal if they are inherently morally evil? You said in your opening, pornography is evil. Why would we not criminalize? Why do we criminalize murder? Why?
Because then somebody that has a different definition of evil than me can criminalize something that I believe in. Like, for example, saying that abortion is murder. Then we should. And by the way, this is actually happening in the UK. If I go out in the UK and I say abortion is murder and I read the Bible, I'm in the middle of the street, I'm going to get arrested. That's what
because
happens.
leftists like you run the UK. People with your same political positions run the UK, and they go, you can't say that. You're going to hurt someone's feelings, and they'll be upset, and then they won't vote for the Labour Party anymore. We need the Muslim vote. Don't tell them they can't have grooming gangs. I'm making
the argument that you don't ban what you don't like, Rachel.
I'm not banning something because I don't like it. It's not that you think I want to ban pornography because I don't like it or because it's morally wrong.
Okay, that's what I believe too. I think it's morally wrong.
Then why wouldn't you make it illegal?
Because somebody else might think that's something I believe in, like
so you believe in moral relativism. So everybody gets to have their own version of right and wrong.
Like Second Amendment rights, the right to own, guns or whatever. That's morally wrong because it kills people. And then when they're in power, they will ban things that they believe are morally wrong. So that's why you can't set that precedent.
It's almost like this whole everybody voting thing is just a trap, and we're going to end up in a bad position no matter what we do, because it's inherently progressive, and it will give us a progressive society where we can't tell people the truth and we can't say what's right and wrong, because if we offend someone, they won't vote for us, and if we offend this group, they're going to start rioting. Are you starting to figure it out at all?
Offend. Again, just because you can't make good arguments that convince people.
I'm not the one who's having trouble making good arguments. That would be you.
No, you're saying that we should not allow certain blocks of the population.
No, yeah, she's the one who's not making good arguments. I'm sorry, she's not making good arguments. You can 100% ban shit that you believe is wrong, right? You can also, right, counteract it, right? If people, because this is a thing where if people believe that, I don't know, like she said, the Second Amendment, all right? The Second Amendment, right, is wrong. So we should get rid of the Second Amendment because it kills people. But then if you say that, right, then one, you literally counteract what is like the core principle of America, being able to uprise, to have a voice, because weapons, in my opinion, right, having a gun is an amazing equalizer. Plus, okay, then you might as well just like a car could be a weapon as well. A knife, like seriously, the UK has a stabbing problem, right? The UK has a stabbing problem. So it's not the weapon that's the problem, okay? It's the person. So that's already a counter argument towards, if you say this is wrong, well then we have other things that's wrong. No, that's not right, because you can be able to debate things whether it's right or wrong, okay? I believe, yes, I'm not saying that pornography is wrong. So I'm not really pro it or against it, right? But I'm saying that you can easily debate things, right? Where there's right and wrong, or where it actually makes sense, or whether it's not the most detriment thing to the core of America, okay? Like, again, the Second Amendment goes along with the First Amendment. It's not the second for no reason. It's very important, right? Just like the First Amendment, it's very important. In my opinion, it goes down from importance as it goes, or at least from the core values of America. Okay, so to argue against, if we say no to like pornography, people are going to say no to the Second Amendment. No, they're not. We have more guns than we have people in the U.S. Do you think that the U.S. will gladly accept no guns? No, that's ridiculous. Yeah, see, I know, I even know that information, right? TBD said UK has a stabbing problem. You cannot wear stab vests to the UK to protect yourself. That's crazy. That is crazy, right? That is right. That is thanks to liberals, right? How the UK is suffering, that is thanks to their liberals. That is thanks to their liberals, where you can't even fucking protect yourself, right? You cannot even protect yourself in the UK.
to vote because they would, down the line, vote against what you want. And that is obviously not the way to do things. The way to do things is by actually talking to certain blocks
You're
of
not
people.
framing that correctly either, though. I'm not saying, oh, don't let this group vote because then I won't get what I want. I asked
that's
you.
what I believe exactly what you're saying.
Let me finish. You just yap and yap and yap. So let me finish first. You said at the beginning, you work in politics. Your job is to go around the country convincing, especially Spanish-speaking people, to vote for Republicans. You want them to vote for certain things.
I educate, yes, personally, yes, but in my current role, yes, I educate people on what are the political policies going on, who's promoting them, what they are, so that they can make educated decisions. Because with education,
I'm trying to do the same thing in a different way. And what I'm trying to tell you is that the fastest way to get to the dystopian nightmare that is the United Kingdom is to do what you're saying we should do. And you are also...
Oh, yo, I love what you just said, right? The fastest way to get to the dystopian, dystopian nation like the UK is letting liberals win. TBD, I know you're suffering from it, right? I know the UK, I know people in England is suffering from the dystopian world that liberals have created. Sad thing.
Showing everybody that you're a moral relativist.
No, I think that the quickest way to get to where the UK is by banning free speech, which is what you just advocated for. And
How did they get there?
And banning things that you don't like.
How did they get there, though? Because the UK hadn't always had laws against free speech.
Nope.
They got that way because of mass immigration,
We can agree on
equality,
that. We can agree on that.
liberalism, all that
Absolutely.
stuff. Right. And that is what you'll
So
end
let's
up with.
address that
That's what
problem.
you'll end up with every time, because you can't just talk people into doing what's right. People vote
you can.
based on incentive. No, people vote based on personal incentive.
I agree with that too.
Yes. So if there's a group that comes into the country and they're getting welfare benefits, if there's single moms out there that get welfare benefits,
Which
things
is
like
highly illegal.
they're
It should
always
have
going to
never
be
happened.
voting for that stuff. Yeah. But the reason we got that stuff is because women voted for it. Those things would have never been passed.
I don't think that having an open border policy for 4 years, like what happened under the previous administration, is something that women voted for.
It is.
It's something that
have you looked at the polling data
women did,
on men versus women on open borders?
Did women vote for the Mexican-American border to be completely open so that 20
They voted for
so that
all
20
of the
million
people who
can-
instituted those
can
policies.
come in?
Yes. Yes.
No, they did not.
Yes, they did.
Well,
Have you
first of
looked
all-
at border states?
first
You
of all,
just keep talking about presidential elections. Look at
that's not
border
something
states.
anybody has
Would either of you
ever-
like me to look up any stats on this? On the are men or women more in favor of illegal immigration?
Of open
Or open
or
borders.
immigration,
I think
whatever.
a better one would be the percentage of Americans that are for voter ID, right? It's 83% nationally. So men and women, Democrat and Republican, for the most part, agree on this.
What the? No. The two administration that helped facilitated a high influx of, even though Obama and Biden did deport a lot, they opened the border to allow a lot of people in. So that it's a very mixed bag. I don't know why I don't know. I could probably figure out why they did it. I think they did it to, honestly, to increase their voter base. And then once they get to a certain point, they started, kicking people out. But again, it was under a lot of democratic, regimes or, presidencies that had such a high influx of immigrations.
So women are not just these
I'm not saying
irrational
everything
people.
women want is terrible and horrible.
Okay.
I'm
just the
not.
things you don't like.
It's not about me and what I like. I'm saying there's an objective right and wrong, and there's objective morality.
I agree
You're
with
the
that.
one who thinks that we should be
I agree with
pandering
that.
to people's emotions.
Yes, actually, you know what? That's a great lesson to learn. Is that people don't care about what you say until they know that you care about something.
Right.
So
women, for sure.
Yes,
men are
and
much more
men
open
too.
to logical. It's not
And men
100%.
too, but that's why you
women are
have to-
far more easily swayed and
Sure,
propagandized by emotion.
Sure, but that means that then
I don't
you
want a
have to
country
be-
run off of that system. I don't
You
want
have
that.
to, Rachel. It's called adapting, right? And adapting to the situation. As somebody that has
Yeah, okay.
worked with many different people before, managed teams of people, I know that if I have a group of 10, that they're going to have different personalities. I have this message that I need to get to them, and I need to deliver it in 10 different ways so that it comes.
Oh God, seriously, this is why we shouldn't have women in politics, because women like this are talking to the masses is absolutely ridiculous, absolutely stupid in my opinion. Women like this should not be. I don't know.
Across
Well, okay.
a certain way.
Let's-
This is emotional intelligence,
Okay.
Rachel.
I
Dive into that.
Yeah.
What is a pick me?
A pick-me is somebody that panders to manosphere men's audiences for just the sake of relevancy, and saying, yeah, women belong in the kitchen, barefoot and naked, all the different tropes.
I would never say to be barefoot and naked in the kitchen.
And pregnant
What
in the
the hell?
kitchen, those kinds of tropes. Everything that a certain demographic.
and does this seem like she? So as conservative as she is, yet her views don't really go towards men, goes towards women. is that really conservative ideology? Is that really? I find it the hypocrisy in that. Is that really conservative ideology when when your views lean more towards women than it does towards men? Seems like you're feminist.
People want to hear just for relevancy, not because it's something you believe, you practice, or that is correct.
Okay, so you don't think that I believe or practice the stuff I'm saying?
For the most part, yeah. I mean, you're very against women having a voice in politics, yet we're debating here for what? It's been 2 hours or something like that?
I'm against women. I'm against women voting. I am continuing the proud tradition of my anti-suffrage.
But Rachel, you voted before in the past.
Yes, I'll explain.
Okay, let's explain that.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So first of all, I'm here to.
And you'll never vote again?
Shush your mouth.
You'll
for
never vote
5
again.
seconds, you little yappy machine. I'm getting to it. It's my turn to talk now.
Go for it.
I'm here to carry on the proud tradition of the majority of women who are against women's suffrage and did not want to be a political voting bloc and were very happy with their duties as mothers and wives and community builders and thought that was extremely important. I agree with them wholeheartedly and all their reasons why they didn't want the vote. Now, yes, I did vote. And yes, I will vote again. And I'll tell you why. To cancel the vote of a feminist somewhere and to double my husband's vote. However you want to look at it. Whoever Andrew votes for, that's who I vote for. And that's how I'm going to cancel out some feminist somewhere's vote.
So you're against voting. You voted in the past. We'll vote in the future. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what it is, Rachel.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Do
you think people watching
You just
would
said I'm a
think-
hypocrite. Let me address
Yes,
it.
you are.
If I had an abortion when I was in college, let's say, like you said, when you were in college and you get told that it's really not bad, it's not even a life, whatever. I get pregnant, I have an abortion in college, and then later I learn, wait, that is actually murdering a human being. I'm against that and it's wrong. And I go out and I tell people, don't get an abortion. It's wrong. Am I a hypocrite?
No, because you actually changed your behavior based on new information.
Well, it's not a behavior you can change.
You can change your ideas, what you espouse, and your behavior based on new information.
So if I vote,
you'd be a hypocrite.
If I vote to cancel a feminist vote, that's hypocritical.
You'd be a hypocrite. Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, like, why do they still talk to her? This is the you know what? Sometimes the chat say, why do I still talk to Alan? It's like, you know what? At the end of the day, right? It is good to see the hypocrisies, the delusions, the nonsensical arguments of certain people. Okay, it is good because, like, to see women like this, right? This woman, right here, to see how she talks, it just reaffirms, yeah, this woman is a feminist. This woman is a hypocrite. This woman, it's like this is the problem where I find with women that talks about, oh, they're conservative, they're traditional. You're not traditional at all. You're not really conservative, right? You may have certain views that deem conservative, but how you go about it is like, oh, you still believe, you don't support gay marriages, but you know what? You're fine with gay people having the rights for marriages. So counteracts each other. You probably don't believe in abortion, but you know what? You're probably pro-choice. Women having their own rights, right? Whatever rights, equal rights. So really, it's like you just women like this, right? Are liberals or feminists because they're on the fence, right? They're on the fence.
Rachel, is if you found out this information, personally were against abortion, now that you know this, that it's bad and murder, and then still went out and told women abortion is okay and it's not murder, then that is hypocrisy. In your case, what we were talking about previously was voting, right? So you don't believe women should have the right to vote.
But I live in reality, Driana. We don't want to deny reality. You keep telling Andrew he was denying reality. We live in this time and place we live in, okay? So I have to be here talking to women like you. I have to be here talking to women like you to talk some sense into you, to persuade everybody out there that you're wrong, and I have to go and vote. Because otherwise only the feminists are going to vote.
You don't have to do anything,
Oh,
Rachel.
I do. It's my duty.
Forcing you?
It's my duty.
Oh, it's your duty.
Yes.
now. Okay.
Speaking of which, do you think women have duties?
Women have duties. Do you think?
Well, women have rights. You've spent the whole time talking about what rights women have. Do women have duties?
I think adults have duties. Yes.
Well,
what duties do you think women have?
Well, you would say men have a duty to protect the homeland,
what
right?
duties do you believe women have?
Oh, I'm not going to give you any answers. I want to know what you think. I know what I think.
I think that adults have duties and responsibilities as adults.
But are they the same?
And in a
are men's and women's duties the same?
In a family context, then those differ, right?
Yep.
Or they may be similar depending on the structure that they have set up. So, for example, in the past, when people could afford to live on one income and the man could afford to have a stay-at-home wife, then obviously the roles of men and women differed to make it a working partnership, right? Now,
here's the thing, right? Controversially, I think men can still afford, right? Men of medium salary, right? The medium earning for men is about 50 to 60K, right? 50 to 60K. I believe, right, men of median earnings can still afford to have a stay-at-home wife. Controversially, right? Controversially, I believe that men that make 50K a year, 50 to 60K a year, can still afford to have a stay-at-home wife. Why do I believe that? Because here's the thing. If you take away luxuries, right? Maybe vacations, maybe, expensive products, okay? Maybe, I don't know, buying a luxurious house, then yes, they can't. But if you tone it down, right? Buy reasonable priced things, not live in an expensive area, not buy an expensive house, not go on, a trip every year, then yes, you can't do it. But if you could, right? If you do I'm saying that you could have a stay-at-home wife if you are reasonable with your money. Okay. Plus, here's the thing. Women have always been able to do side projects, side work, right? They've cooked to sell things. They've done women-oriented things to facilitate extra income. So, in my opinion, a lot of women should be doing social media, right? If they're stay-at-home wives, they should be doing social media. They should be, you could a day, like taking care of children, right? Not just your children, other children. There's ways that women can do to earn extra money that doesn't have to put them in the workforce. Okay. Right? Extra income for, maybe a couple bills or whatever. Okay. So I believe in that. Man, I spend like 50K on a woman. I ain't ever doing that shit again. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, like I've spent money on women too, and it's stupid, right? It's stupid because my ex, right? My baby mom, she wanted a stroller that cost $6,000. A stroller that cost $6,000. What a fucking stupid shit. But I bought her it. Right? Coming out of that relationship, I was heavily in debt. I was struggling financially. So I couldn't support her. Because if you let a woman lead, she would lead your life to fucking hell. I was such a simp, such a cuck, such a doormat, such a spineless man in that relationship. It affected me dramatically. So yeah, I would never do that shit again.
Unfortunately, and this is not any of our faults other than the government and belief policy.
Cement, getting down in the sewer system and treating the sewer. What about oil rig work? The really heavy duty shit that keeps society running. How come only like 2% of those people are women? And even in those fields, they're really usually just like holding a sign
Rachel,
or doing office work.
I'm not devaluing in any way men's contributions to society.
Okay.
I think that's super important and we should value them because of that. That's part of my whole argument that women should respect men and thank men for their sacrifices to society as a whole. I agree.
But then why should we give women equal rights with men when men are the only ones that can do those critical things?
Sure. Okay, now that you asked me why should. Women also have contributed to society in so many different important ways, besides a very important role of historically being the primary caretakers of children and being a homemaker and raising a home, which is the pillar of a strong society. Let's talk about that, right? We've got women inventors that have contributed to things like, dishwasher, just things that we use every single day to make.
Are you aware of the number of female patents versus male patent holders?
Yes. Josephine Cochrane, dishwasher. Let's see. We've got Florence Pipehart. She improved early.
Okay. Did she need voting rights for that? This is the thing where literally in her argument, it's talking about women inventors. Great. Did they need equal rights to do that? Did women need equal rights to invent the dishwasher? To invent the whatever else? Did they? They still did it. So by your argument, you don't need voting rights to do the shit you're doing. You don't. So what the hell are you talking about?
Refrigeration system. So because of this woman, we can not have food that goes that gets
spoiled. Anything if we look these up, it's going to be a guy who actually did the work. But okay, I'll just grant it.
Let me finish this because we're talking about contributions to society. Obviously, I can't memorize all these. I don't have that kind of a memory. But there's a woman who created the refrigerator, Kevlar, body armor material. Stephanie Kwolek, used in bulletproof vests that our brave men use in battle, helmets, aircraft components.
Infrastructure that allows you to pretend that we are equal with men. We are not equal with men. It doesn't mean that we don't equal in value. I agree, but that relates to duties. Equal in value relates to our duties to society. Men's duties to society are things like building and maintaining infrastructure, providing safety and security, keeping out enemies who are going to come in and, especially pre-industrial revolution. Oh, you're not going to cut me off after all that. Come on. prior to industry and technology, men literally had to keep the barbarian hordes away from the gates, okay? Like,
So this has to do with
keep women
voting. Again,
safe.
how?
Because people think that we've escaped this natural fundamental thing, and we haven't. It still requires force at the end of the day. You still need men out there. Look at Iran, look at Ukraine, look at the borders, all the national borders. You still need men with force to keep society going. That's men's duty.
I agree.
What are women's duties to society?
I just named them. They have historically been primarily homemakers, right? And also women have a duty that men can't do, period, which is childbirth.
I'm glad you brought that up. Why aren't they having any babies anymore?
Because the situation for them is not apt, is not appropriate. It is a lot more difficult, especially when it comes to the economy, to have kids, one. And two, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, women need strong men to lead, right, and to be in a family with. And unfortunately, the men of today, I'm not saying all of them, but the men of today are quite literally not the same as men 50 years ago. In fact,
Why aren't the men today not the same? 50 years ago. Why? Because of fucking feminism. Why is men not the same, right? Because men have adapted. Men have adapted to women's BS. Men have adapted to women's BS. It's not men. This is why this covert feminist is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe she's part of the Republican Party. But this is because she's a part of the Republican Party. This is why I don't call myself a Republican, right? Because she's a part of the Republican Party, because she's a conservative, because of that shit, I don't call myself really a Republican or a conservative, because this BS right here, women like this, shows you the hypocrisy. This is why I've always believed that both sides are no better, right? It's voting for the lesser of two evil. Both Republican, Democrat, left, right, you're voting for the lesser of two evils. They're both shitty, right? Both sides are shitty because both sides has hypocrisies, have delusions, right? Have ridiculous, fucking stupid ass people. This woman is no better than a feminist. No better. She's a Republican, right? Republican feminist, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. She's a Republican feminist, which is insane. Okay? To say that, women can't be with men nowadays because men can't lead. Bitch, what are you talking about men can't lead? It's not that men can't lead, it's that you don't want to follow men's leadership. Right? What is your proof that men can't lead? What is your proof? Right? Where is your proof that men can't lead? Not a single woman has shown any proof that men cannot lead. Right? The single family homes, guess what? That's because of women leading it. Right? Thanks to women leaving men, 70% of divorces are filed by women. Women leaving, not fucking men. It's not because men can't lead, it's because women don't want to fucking follow men's leadership. Right? It isn't because of men, right, that women don't want to do it. It's because of women. Women don't want to follow because women think they're fucking equal to men. If you think you're equal to somebody, right? If I think I'm equal to my boss, do you think that I'm going to fucking follow my boss's orders? No. Who are you to order me when I'm equal to you, right? I wouldn't follow you. Like, we're equals. So why would I listen to you? This woman is like the UK Green Party. Green says they aren't like Labour, but really Green Party is a Labour, but 400 times worse. Yeah, that's why it's like I don't care for any of those people.
in fact, and there's you can pull this up, Brian, but I have it written here too. Men are actually physically different than they were years back, as in men nowadays on average have lower testosterone than their grandfathers.
Yeah, guess what? Women have, women are more masculine than ever. This is the thing where this stupid ass bitch don't really understand. Guess what changed? Wasn't men, right? Men are adapting. What changed is women. Like she said 50 years ago, what changed 50 years ago? What changed 50? I wish Rachel would say it, right? What changed 50 years ago, right? You gave the benchmark, right? You said 50 years ago. What changed? Women. Women like you, right? You want to say that you're equal to men. Guess what? You want to say that men have to be better, right? That not just financially supporting now. Men got to, well, guess what? Men have become less violent, less testosterone crazed, right? Less, more more emotional, right? Men are more emotional than ever before. So guess what you get? Yes, soy, right? I mean, now you get like, again, this is why you get the soy boys, right? You get the soy boys of today.
For you to say that because men have to be the ones leading and all of this, you're trying to say that, oh, women are not having kids because of women's right to vote or something like that, which is crazy. I'm saying that we need to build strong men back up. We need to encourage them to take care of themselves, to get healthy, to build up their hormones, get their testosterone right, get unaddicted to pornography, drugs, alcohol, vice.
Why? What would happen then? What would happen then? Right? Because this is the thing. This is why this idiotic woman don't think. When men weren't like that, right? When men weren't like what they are now, women, right, changed. Women didn't want these men, right? Women were walking away from marriages. Women, like, again, men doing like addicted to pornography, all this stuff, right? All this shit is only happening less than 50 years ago. Happening less than 50 years ago. Guess what changed? It is women.
And then women will naturally want to have families again. But right
Oh,
now,
okay.
but right now, there isn't as high of a percentage of men.
Simple
Go
thing.
for it,
I'll just
Rachel.
point out the fact that the only people having children are the poorest people. So if the problem was money, we would see rich people having all the babies and poor people would not be having the babies. So you're absolutely wrong on that. In fact, we've done
Conservatives are
studies.
more responsible,
Okay, now
Rachel.
it's my turn. Now it's my turn. They've done studies on this because dropping birth rates around the world are an extremely serious problem. There are think tanks around the world, including the World Health Organization, that
I
are
agree.
saying this could be civilizational ending for
I
some
agree.
countries.
I
So
agree.
they've studied it at length. And the number one correlate around the world, regardless of culture, finances, religion, any other factor, is women's access to higher education and the job market. This means that when you tell young women to spend all of their fertile years going to college and preparing for a job and then get into the workforce and establish your career before you think about marriage
Be
and family,
financially
what you
independent.
end up with is we have now women getting married and having babies for the first time at around the age 30, 31, when in my grandma's generation, shout out to grandma, she's turning 100 on April 1st, love you grandma, she, in her generation, the first age of marriage was around 22. And you had a baby usually that same
So
year.
now you're also
what
arguing
I'm-
against women's
no,
education?
don't put words in my mouth. Let me finish. You just yappity-yapped that
I
whole
ran,
time.
Rachel. I ran.
So
it's an option, you know.
So the truth is, it's not finances. It's not men are weak. Men need more testosterone. Men need to get their bag. Men need to blah blah blah.
Oh, she's talking about this woman needs to go to Iran, right? How are you conservative? I swear to God, how are you conservative?
Which that's mind blowing to me that you would ever pin this on men because
pinning it
you're
on
like
men.
you're like the men.
environment,
Don't interrupt
the
me.
government,
Don't interrupt me.
all of that
Don't interrupt
stuff.
me.
You did that
Don't
before
interrupt
to me.
me. Don't interrupt
Back
me.
and
Do you
forth.
want a bathroom break and I can just talk?
Go for it. Go.
Okay. You say we would have more babies if the men would lead, but then you say I'm not going to follow a man. I have my own mind and I'm a strong, independent woman and I'm just as equal as he is, and I think it should be equal. How can you be
Voting
equal
rights.
and he could lead at the same time?
Yeah, that's such a crazy concept for you to understand, but it is possible.
Okay, tell me how.
I am in a relationship with a man that I also look up to, that leads, and at the same time, we both vote. What is the argument you're trying to make that you
How
can't?
does he lead if you don't submit?
Who the heck is talking about submission? I'm talking about voting, Rachel. And you just made an argument, again, against women's education now. So now it's not just women not being able to vote and women not having
I didn't make a
financial
should.
independence,
I did not make a
but
should argument. I just told you what the reason
But
is.
also women shouldn't have access
Do you know
to
the
higher
difference between an
education.
ought statement and an is statement? I said the reason is this. Does that mean I'm saying women ought not be allowed to be educated?
Is that, okay, I'm asking you that question. Do you believe that?
No, I think that women have, this is another big myth that Drianna probably believes, that
put
women
words in my mouth.
that women were denied education. Do you think that there was no equality in education until recently or something like that?
No, no, actually. And in fact, women hold more degrees than men.
Yeah, but
do
what about
nowadays.
100 years ago or 150 years ago?
I'm not exactly sure, but I do know that education was heavily influenced by people that made it so it's harder to get an education. So it's
Controversially, well, I think I heard a interesting comedian, right? An interesting comedian. Oh, I forgot. Oh God, I know it. Now I forgot his name. I forgot his name. Damn it.
more of an elite thing, and that's a whole thing
No,
with the
so
Rockefellers and whatnot. But
That's true, but some of the first colleges in this country were women's only colleges.
and there are also a lot of
and they've
black
always
colleges,
had access.
and
Yes.
then Rockefellers got involved and it got cut to like
So
10%.
if we didn't have a birth rate problem in 1860 when all the women could go to college, why do we have it now? Because of 100 years of feminist propaganda from people like you and Taylor Swift and
wasn't born 100
Beyonce and
years ago.
Kamala Harris. No, I'm saying now we have this problem because women like you, and I heard you say, and I take major issue with this, somebody finally pulled it out of you in the Dating Talk podcast that you do look down on women like me who don't have a degree and aren't in the workforce having a career. You said, look, if all you do, you said you don't feel that women who don't have their own money and career and all this stuff.
I've never said that. I dare you to I don't have cash, but I guess we could.
You didn't say you look down on them, but you said you did not consider them successful like you or something
no,
like
Rachel,
that.
what I do remember saying is in Brian's hypothetical fun thing that he does on every podcast where he's like, oh, do you think women should, on the first time that they're over at my house, cook and clean and do laundry for them? Do you think women should do that? And I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. And most people that listen to that know it's freaking ridiculous. And women that do say, yeah, I would totally first time over a guy's house, do his laundry. Yes, I do believe those women
that's how
have something wrong.
It started that way, but eventually through the course of the conversation, you basically said,
outside of that parameter, that is it.
Okay, I'll just take your word for that.
No, people can go back and look at that. It's actually one of the
So we've established that the fact of what's actually true is that women are not having children because the men are too weak. They need to up their game. They need to be better leaders. They need more testosterone. The men are lacking, and that's why the women aren't having babies. The women aren't having babies because they go to college and they build careers first and they delay their first child until their 30s. And if you do that, there's a whole bunch of reasons why that doesn't work. The first is you're already past the majority of your fertility window. After 35, even with IVF, the odds of conceiving just go down drastically every year. That's a biological fact. The second thing is when you build your life around this idea that you have to have goals and be successful, and you've spent all your life,
I think something that I always talk about, right? It's time frame. It's timeline, right? So a lot of women don't really understand how to map their life. Okay. So hypothetically, right? A woman that focuses on her career, now that she's 31, right? Let's say hypothetically 31, right? 31, now she wants to find a man. But guess what? Because she's 31, right? I think majority of women have an overinflated ego of themselves. So she thinks she's a 10, right? She thinks she's a 10, but now she makes, let's say hypothetically, she makes 100K, right? 100K. But she's average looking, truly average looking. Right? She's a 5, maybe she's a 6. But in her mind, she's a 10. In her mind, she's a 10. In her mind, her beauty is a 10. In her mind, everything about her is a 10. She makes 100K, all that shit. But let's say she's 31. Okay. Now at 31, right? You haven't found, you don't like any man in your job. Okay, fine. You don't like any man in your job. You don't go to school, so you don't meet any men there. Let's say where else, right? The men that are your friends or whatever, those are friend zone men. So those are a no. So where do you think you're going to meet men? Right? Out in the wild or dating apps, right? But dating apps, same thing with out in the wild, right? It's hard for you to meet men, right? A good amount of men, right? But now that it's hard to meet a good amount of men, so you get the small pool of men that you have, none of them you like, or the ones that you do like, they think they don't need you, right? They don't need to just, bend to your whim, right? They don't need to bend to your timeline. So a lot of women don't know. Now you're suffering. You're 31, let's say 3 years, right? Let's say even lowballing it, 2 years. Takes you 2 years, right? 2 years to find supposedly a man, right? Maybe settle down, right? You settle for a man, right? Probably settle for a man. Yo, Organic, what is up, my brother? What is up? Thank you for being here. So 2 years take you settle for a man. So now you're 33. 33. Now you just met a man, right? You just started a relationship. Now, what is that going to take, right? Let's say, I'm going to lowball it, right? Let's say another 2 years. You're 33. Now you're 35. You've been in 2 years with this man. 2 years with this man, right? In a relationship. You're 35. Okay? 35. Now, let's say at 35, he proposes to you, right? Proposes to you. So you're at 35. Let's say another year of an engagement. Now you're 36. You got married at 36. Now, let's say you don't rush marriage, right? You don't rush to have children. Now let's say you are hypothetically now another year or so, right? Now you're 37. You're fucking 37 and now you're starting having a kid, right? And then you'll realize that shit, right? Now shit is hard. Now, having a child isn't easy. This is the problem with a lot of women. You don't realize that, honestly, you're the problem, right? You don't realize that how difficult the timelines are, okay? And I'm lowballing it, and I'm giving, who knows if that relationship works out or not. So a lot of these women just honestly don't really think, They don't really put a whole lot of thought into shit.
Everything you're doing is towards your career for that purpose. Women
Rachel,
find it extremely hard to flip a switch and suddenly
You are in menopause. You practically are.
be a mom and a stay-at-home mom, or like dedicate their lives to something outside themselves, which is what our duty is.
So Rachel, it is statistical fact, and you can look this up, that women with higher education degrees have lower rates of divorce. So since I am pro-marriage and pro-successful marriage, not just get married all willy-nilly, that is why I do believe it's a good thing that women have education. And it makes sense, right? You know, you are educated, and therefore...
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I gotta pee, but keep watching.
You want to establish yourself before starting a family so that it is something that is strong. And
But
again,
wait,
this
didn't
is-
you say you're against women going to college? Didn't you?
When
At the
did I say
beginning,
that?
I said something about college, and you said, I agree. I think college is a scam too. I think you shouldn't go
think
unless you're getting a STEM degree.
Yeah,
How
that's
many
true.
women get STEM degrees?
How do those two things, how are they...
You just said you think women should go to college and get an education. Okay, but isn't college a scam?
Unless you're going for a STEM degree,
Did you get a STEM degree?
No.
Okay.
And I got lucky.
Do you know what,
Yeah.
do you know
I'm
what
not-
percentage of STEM degrees
I'm
are
not-
earned by women? It's like 20%.
See, I'm not a hypocrite because I'm not telling people to do something that I'm an exception for.
Well, I didn't
There's so
even
many
accuse you of
people-
hypocrisy. I'm just saying most women don't go for STEM. The vast majority, 80% of women's degrees are liberal arts nonsense.
A lot of them, yes, but
Yeah,
still.
so why would we push that?
The fact still stands that the more education, formal education women have, the lower the divorce rate.
But do you think
and
that
the
that's...
higher
But
lifetime
let's address
earnings.
that. Let's address that. Because do you think
Do
that's...
you not want people to not get divorced?
Do you think you need college to not get divorced?
No, I'm just saying that there's that correlation.
Okay.
Rachel.
That a correlation doesn't equal a cause. So
Absolutely.
telling women to go to college because you have a lower chance of getting divorced
No,
would be retarded. That
I'm
would be
saying-
like the ice cream problem. Have you ever heard of the
you're
ice
saying
cream
women-
problem?
No, you're saying women aren't having kids because they're going to college.
Yes, and they're focused on career and building
careers
careers.
first.
Because we tell them, if you're smart and successful, this is what you're going to do. And if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're a loser and you're lame and you're
Which I
going to
disagree
get
with,
abused. You're
which
going
I
to be
disagree with,
vulnerable.
But when I have daughters, I am absolutely going to tell them you need to have something of value that you can depend on because you can't just basically put yourself up as somebody that is dependent on neither the government nor another person, right? So yes, I would absolutely tell boys and girls, set yourself up for life in whichever way you see fit. It could be getting a STEM degree in college. It could be going to a vocational school, doing some kind of trade, business, whatever. Absolutely establish yourself before coming into a relationship with somebody else. And if you do decide to be
What do you mean by that, though?
And if you do,
Establish yourself? Do you have to have like a 401k? Do you have to have a
no,
savings?
just
What do you
have
have
some
to have?
kind of
Just any old job.
some kind of way for you to be able to depend on yourself. God forbid the worst happens.
Okay,
in
but
a
who
relationship and a
can't
marriage.
do that? Do you know what the average jobs are that people work? The average person makes,
very
for
different.
women, it's like 40K a year. For men, it's like 60K a year.
Okay, what I'm saying-
most of us have like basic ass jobs that we
Yes.
can get straight out of high school. I did that.
Yes.
I didn't need to go to college and get into debt,
Yes.
which is the other big problem.
This was a very
women
long time
come,
ago,
women
Rachel,
come
by
up.
the
No,
way,
it's,
for
it's the same thing now.
No, it's
yes,
not.
it is. It is the same thing now. The jobs
10
that are in
years.
demand are not liberal arts degrees.
Okay.
In fact, there's a ton of data showing that if you have liberal arts degrees, you have the hardest time finding a job because you
agree.
don't have practical skills.
I agree.
And employers don't even want that shit anymore. And they look
agree.
for people who try to start businesses. They look for people who are self-starters, smart,
Yes.
self-educated.
Yeah.
I'm debating you today with nothing but a cosmetology license.
Fantastic.
You know?
And I
So-
agree that having degrees does not change facts, and having a title does not make for any kind of an argument. I've
Right.
never
So
said
if you
that.
can get a retail management job by the time you're 21, why
what-
can't you get married and
what
start
I'm-
having kids?
Sure. What I'm saying is that having kids and being a stay-at-home mom, obviously very valuable. It does take you out of the workforce, and if you were to get back in it, then
It is the most valuable thing a woman can do. Having kids, starting a family, having a husband is the most valuable, the most important thing a woman can do. Right? Like to hell with like being a career woman. That means nothing. That means in general, right? Most women, it means nothing. Most women will not become an established doctor, a big time engineer, right? Or whatever else. Most women won't make it anything special. So the most important thing a woman can do is have children, have a husband.
make it a lot more difficult. So if women decide to be stay-at-home moms, they need some kind of protection, agreement, guarantee before marriage with the husband to make sure that the kids primarily are taken care of. God forbid the worst happens, which is a split or a divorce. So that is what I'm saying. I'm just being a logical, reasonable person. And I'd prescribe this.
There shouldn't be a split or a divorce. Right? And the protection for the kids is the husband. Right? Choose the right man. Okay? He should be able to provide. He should be able to save. He should be able to, buy a house, buy a home for his family. To be honest, women that are in, once they're 21 should be dating a man that's maybe in his 30s or so, right? men, right? Women should be dating men at least, I don't know, 5 to maybe 10 years older than them, right? Women should be getting married to men that are, 5 to 10 years older than them. So find a man that's established. Men should be, struggling to, get better soon. Yeah, the female offenders being glorified is a crazy thing. I always think it's crazy that men are seen as predatory by default. I 100% agree.
Same thing for men, You're
not being logical and you're not being reasonable, and we're going to figure this out together, okay? So how are we going to combat birth rates dropping like a rock and tell women you need to have your own money, you need to have a fail-safe, you need to have a backup plan. You can't really leave the job market because if you do, it makes it really hard to get back in.
Let's work on solutions, right? For this country, let's focus on this country at the very least. It's the one we care about. I think it'd be very helpful for women and men in this country if we weren't importing the third world or filling jobs that Americans can fill.
Yeah, why do we have to do that? Do you know why? Because we're not having babies. And if the women were having babies, we wouldn't have to import our entire labor force from the third world.
Because we have sellout politicians that don't answer to us and answer to foreign interests, and that's why they're doing it, Rachel.
We have a labor shortage. That's real. That's a real thing. We have a serious, not just us, almost the whole world. We're experiencing a birth rate collapse, and it's created labor shortages and it's created supply chain problems.
Why would women want to have kids if if they know that the market for the kids when they do get born, they're not going to have the same opportunities they had growing up because we've got shitty politicians that are importing people from all over the world.
So now women aren't having babies because shitty politicians are allowing too many immigrants.
That's a big
Is there any point at which it's the women's choices to shirk their duty to have children? Are we ever going to hold the women accountable and say, maybe the values are wrong?
Of course she wouldn't, right? She's a feminist. Why? Feminists do not hold women accountable.
Maybe the women should say, you know what? I think it's a really valuable thing to produce another generation to keep this beautiful, wonderful world that I get to enjoy going.
Beautiful concept, and I agree with it. However,
well, you'll talk about what men should do. Why won't we talk about what women should do?
Women should also, again, contribute to their society. They should.
There's one thing we need women to do more of, and it's have babies. We don't need more media girls. We don't need more psychology majors. We don't need more retail workers.
Rachel, how do you convince women to have more kids?
Well, I'll tell you.
Please.
So in a famous famous interview in the 19. Well, you can't. You got to fix the whole system. That's the point.
You can't fix the entire world.
Oh, you don't have to fix the whole world. I'm going to tell you.
For the U.S.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you if you can just listen.
Sure.
In the 70s, Betty Friedan and Simone de Beauvoir had a famous interview where Simone said, I think the problem is that we give women the option to stay home. I'm paraphrasing, but she said, I don't think the world should be that way at all. I think that if we give that option, too many women will choose it, and that's not how society will run. I agree with her, and I believe that. I think if women have the option to stay home, that they would. I think if they had the opportunity to be mothers and be happy with being wives, mothers, having their sisters around them. Here's what happened. We pushed women into the workforce in the 1970s in huge numbers.
Who did that? It was the U.S. government and people that wanted more tax.
The government, the CIA, and the universities who wanted this big, massive college loan. So we agree on that. The big, massive college loan kind of scam where you tell the women, take out a loan, go to college so you can have financial security.
They wanted more taxpayers paying into the system.
Exactly. So what we do is that created a two-income economy. The reason and there were other factors in the economy declining, but we've had ups and downs economically throughout all of history.
You have to also include technology, right? AI, all that stuff, industrialization.
Yeah, well, the point is that some women have always worked, and some women can and should work. I don't see any problem with it. Mothers, if we take mothers out of the workforce, we used to have things like breadwinner laws, where only the men were responsible for the debts in the family. We used to have things like clauses in women's employment contracts where once you were married, we consider you taken care of financially by your husband because he's the one responsible for that, not you. And so we're going to give that job to an unmarried woman, a widow, somebody who actually needs the job because women's jobs were limited. We didn't have this huge equal workforce with 50% men and 50% women, basically. It's a little off, but that's basically what we have now. That created a permanent two-income trap where now women like me who want to stay home can't afford it. And many women who I hear from all over the country saying, I would love to stay home with my kids, but it's really tough. This is not something you can change and fix today. The reality of this problem is that it's going to be a multi-generational fix, and it starts with what we value. And we need to stop valuing career woman, careerism, Sarah Jessica Parker, Sex in the City.
How do you sell that to women?
Well, you don't. See, this is the problem.
You take away their option to choose.
Nope, it's not like that. The way the world works is based off incentive.
Yeah.
Just like how are you going to convince the men not to watch porn? You're not. It's addictive, and people have base instincts.
The incentive to have a family that's functional in the future and be a functional adult. That
yeah, but we've convinced women like you that what they should value is success, get your bag, have finances.
I didn't say that. I said
you're 32. You've been married. You could be married, but you have other values. You don't have children for a reason. I would assume.
Married permanently. I think the single most important decision a person can make is who they decide to have children with.
Sure, I agree.
Yeah, but at 32, you haven't made that decision. I mean, you're not like an ugly person. You're not an ugly person. It's not like you never had suitors. It's not like you don't have suitors, right? Let's be honest. You're not hurting for options, right? So the problem is that you're hurting for options. The problem is that your options are not up to your standards, or you find other things that you care about. I believe this is a career woman. She cares more about her career, cares more about her I don't know, establishing her career than actually a man, actually a family. So
That's the most important. And so, yes, I think both men and women should be extremely selective and choosy with that decision, because that's going to ultimately determine whether the child grows up in a stable household. So I am not going to pressure women to just have kids as soon as
I'm
they
not
can
talking
for
about
any kind of
pressuring them.
reason.
I'm talking about setting up incentives
Yeah.
for the things we want to see.
Yes.
And what we do by giving,
Incentives,
we
good.
give women specifically,
Force bad.
we give women free college loans. We give them free loans to start businesses. We have done all this affirmative action stuff for the last 50 years to push and push and push and incentivize women to focus on career, focus on joining the workforce, reject motherhood. It's icky. Kids are gross and it's hard and you don't want to do that. It's going to ruin your body. There's so much anti-motherhood propaganda,
Which I'm
and
against,
the whole
sure.
pop culture. You can't name a single pop star or movie star who's an influential woman who doesn't have the boss girl, strong woman through your sexuality message. All of them do. Be sexy and hot like me and make your money. And ew, men are gross and they're stupid. And Sabrina Carpenter telling the whole world men are useless.
You're broad, which I disagree with, but again, you're broadly generalizing women this, women that,
I'm saying
most women.
the incentives society-wide through the pop culture, through the education system, through the government, every institution tells women motherhood is for stupid losers and strong woman, sexy girl, boss babe stuff is for winners. And we have to change those incentives. If we truly value
Sure, but
family,
you can't force
wait,
people
just
to
let me
do
finish.
anything.
Just let me finish. I'm not saying force. I'm saying incentivize. You should know this if you work in politics. If we incentivize people to come across the border because they're going to get free shit, we're going to get more of that.
Agreed.
You get more of whatever you incentivize and you get less of whatever you stigmatize. We need to stigmatize sexy girl, boss babe stuff. We need to...
How?
By taking back the institutions and the culture.
How?
That's what you said, right?
Yeah, how are you gonna do that?
By me going on these podcasts and writing books and talking to people like you. And now there's a bunch of...
shouldn't vote. That's how you're gonna get them to go back to.
Do you know how many women actually don't want to vote? It's a lot.
Okay,
You would be
but-
shocked.
Yeah, I'm sure, but it's
There's
not
a
the
lot of,
majority.
they just don't care that much.
I
The
think
truth is, whenever we have a dating panel, Brian,
the majority of women.
most
do
of the
wanna
girls,
vote
when you say,
and do
no,
vote.
I don't want to vote. If you say
And do
to,
vote.
if you say to all
Yes,
the, can you let me talk?
they're
Let Rachel
curated.
finish, please.
They're not curated.
Yes, they are.
Wait, what do you mean?
She's
Yes,
saying
they
that
are.
you specifically pick girls. This is what everybody thinks about the podcast. And I wish this was true because I'm so black-pilled and I wish I wasn't. But all the young women I speak to, not just here, but on other podcasts and other debates that I do, you ask them who they voted for, they usually haven't. They usually don't vote until they're older and married.
It doesn't matter who
Some
you
of the
spoke to on
college radicals
podcasts.
do.
The facts are that a majority of women vote and do care about voting because they vote Republican because
no, the majority of women don't vote. Let me see.
they vote Democrat and because they voted more than men have.
I'm
in the
not,
last
what I'm
presidential
telling you is
elections.
I'm not trying to convince women the way that you're thinking. I'm talking about systemic incentive. I'm saying do things like what Hungary did, where if you have 3 or more children, you never pay taxes again. We make marriage an ecclesiastical governed thing again, where it's no longer this no-fault government bullshit that you want. Absolutely not.
What's
you go
the-
to your
what's the thing that I
church.
want? What's the thing that I want?
You like government marriage with prenuptial agreements and no-fault divorce.
I believe that the government should have never gotten into marriages.
Okay, who should have governed marriage
I
then?
believe
Who?
that. I believe
If the
that.
government
Let me finish
doesn't-
because you just told me you believe this and this and this, and it's
what you've
inaccurate,
said, and-
it's inaccurate. I believe in people being able to get out of bad marriages. Absolutely.
Do you think they couldn't before?
And
Okay.
without certain legal protections. Let's say that you are in a marriage where you have domestic violence, domestic abuse, but you don't have the money to get a lawyer because there's usually financial abuse involved as well. So there's no way for you to even
Financial
prove. So
abuse.
there's usually no way.
Is there emotional abuse
So
too?
there's no way. No, I actually have the data on that too. So there's no way
sure.
for you to prove that you're being abused, and so that goes against their rights. And I don't want women to be stuck in bad marriages. So
Do you know how many
yes,
marriages?
I agree.
Do you know how
with-
many women were granted
with-
divorce in the year 1900? So this
No,
is
I-
before
and I don't
the
care.
19th, before no fault.
And I don't care because
well,
it's
I'm going to tell you,
it's irrelevant to the point that I'm making, which is
55,700 divorces in the year
Fantastic.
1900. You can't tell me that
Means-
women couldn't get divorces. Yes, they
means-
could.
good. I'm not saying-
they just didn't because it was highly stigmatized. It wasn't practical, and the incentives were not there. And what we've built now is a system that incentivizes divorce. It incentivizes waiting till your 30s to even start a family, and that's what needs to change. So we need to shift it and make it cool again
To get married.
We
Yes,
need to make it cool
I
to get
agree.
married young, to stay together.
agree.
We should not be allowing or
Which-
glorifying OnlyFans chicks, Instagram bikini babes. All that shit needs to go.
I absolutely agree with all that. It's something that I practice in my personal life, obviously. But again, the answer, the solution to things is never to do anything by force or by taking away options, right? Do we want strong marriages? Yes. Do we want divorces? No. Do we think that it's a good idea to ban divorces so that people are stuck in abusive relationships?
Do you think I want a
Bad.
divorce ban? Or do you think
Bad.
because that's not what I want. What I want is
What is up, DeBlunt? I agree. I don't think women in general have good role models. And here's my thing, right? Controversially, I don't think women are have the mindset to have role models, right? I think women are honestly very selfish, very biased. The problem is why women can't have good role models is because you have to manipulate their emotions, right? I believe to have a good role model, you have to be logical. And if you're logical with women, you will turn them off, right? If you're logical with women, you will turn them off. This is why women, if you lie, women will buy. This is why it's better off to lie to women than actually be logical with them, okay? If you're logical with them, they will fight you on it. They won't agree to it. They will disagree with it. Women are more emotional in nature. This is why I believe that women can't have really good role models, because you can't tell them the truth. You can't tell them the truth. You can't tell them what is actually logical. You have to lie to them, right? This is why women steer more towards, what is it? Those manifestation coaches, right? Right? Those are women. Right? Women will go for manifestation coaches than they will go for actual coaches, right? Or actual mentors, because it's the emotional thing.
Mm-hmm. Where you like we always had for all of human history until 50 years ago, if you want a divorce, ideally it should be through your church. You should have to go to your ecclesiastical authority. So I'm an Orthodox Christian. If Andrew and I know a woman that this happened to, that there was actually legitimate horrific abuse. She went to her priest and to her bishop, and she said, this is what's going on. She had other people who were willing to say, yes, we think this is going on. She was granted a divorce because of the extremeness of the situation. What we have now...
What does that have to do with the kids? What happens with the kids? What happens with dividing assets that they both had? Is the church, does it have any kind of dominion over those kinds of decisions?
Yes, so
it does not.
No, historically, this is how...
not now.
But what we're talking about is prescriptions, and I'm telling
Good women rarely make history. I agree. I definitely agree.
you the way we fix this is, if my church governed my marriage, the church would say, okay, we're going to help take care of you financially. This is what used to happen under most churches. If there was a situation where the woman was abandoned, abused, say the husband was crazy, violent, any of these things that's like...
Cheats?
It depends. That depends.
Would you be okay?
From a religious perspective.
Do you believe it's okay, or do you believe that people should stay in marriages when the other person cheats on them or commits adultery?
Well, so adultery can be a reason for divorce. It depends, and that's a personal thing that you have to go through with your spiritual father, because
that's the number one cause of divorce, by the way.
It's not.
Yes, it
no,
is.
the number one reason that women give for why they leave is growing apart, irreconcilable differences. We just don't get along. Infidelity is more like number 3 or number 4. I've researched this quite a lot as well, and I've had this debate multiple times. It's usually like 3rd, 4th, or 5th on the list, depending on what survey you look at.
Number 1 on the list.
No, it's not. Infidelity is not number 1. Absolutely not. It's like 3rd or 4th on the list. But from a religious perspective, of course, it's immoral. We don't say cheating is okay. We don't say cheating is good. But it doesn't automatically mean that in every case of infidelity, you must divorce. I know couples, and everybody knows couples, where they've worked past that. Now, if it's a serial, problem, or if there's a good reason, there's a lot of factors. This is a personal thing. This is why it shouldn't be done through the government. It should be done through the church, through your priest and your bishop who know you and know your situation and can mediate disagreements. Because you don't just break up a family for any reason.
Just one of the many things.
Brian, you can go ahead and look it up if you want to. Top reasons for divorce.
2003 found that when divorced individuals are asked open-endedly to provide their reasons for divorce, the most cited reasons were infidelity, 21.6%, incompatibility, 19.2%, drinking or drug use, which I also agree with, 10.6%. In most studies, infidelity is the number one reason.
You would have to give me your source, and I would have to look at it. It's most likely going to be a survey. It's going to be most likely a survey of about 100 to 300 people.
This is from the NIH.
Really wants me to go through here.
We do have to differentiate between, for example, surveys and what is actually cited in the legal divorce proceedings.
You were wrong.
Where?
Right here. So the results of the study, reasons for divorce. Table 1 presents the major contributors for divorce list. Overall, the results indicate that the most often cited reasons for divorce at the individual level were lack of commitment, 75%.
Another pretty word for infidelity.
That's not infidelity. Lack of commitment means you don't think the person is fully in it with you. That's what that means.
Sure.
Because, if you kept reading, the next one down the list is infidelity. So the first reason in this particular study, which I'll have to go over it, but the number 1 is lack of commitment. That 75% for lack of commitment. So the majority is, I feel like he's not really trying, like I'm really trying.
That's the definition you're giving it.
Infidelity is 59%, and too much conflict and arguing, 57%. So
it doesn't matter what she's giving it. What doesn't matter what definition you give. It's not infidelity. Why would you say lack of commitment and then infidelity if lack of commitment is cheating? You could just say infidelity. Why wouldn't you combine those two? Stop being a stupid fucking idiot. This is why debating with feminists is irritating. I mean, it's great for the viewers, right? It's great for the viewers because the viewers will see the hypocrisy. The viewers will see the BS. Okay? But if debating one-on-one with the feminists or the liberals and all these insane people, it's annoying because these people can't comprehend logic. They can't see you know what? Maybe you're right. Okay? Maybe it isn't infidelity. Because here's the thing, okay? if I was corrected, I'll be more upfront. Like, okay, you know what? You're right. It's not infidelity. But here's a woman, right? That has her head up her ass. She can't admit she's wrong. She cannot admit that she's wrong. And that's the problem, right? That's the problem with debating these type of people. They can't admit if they're wrong or right, or if they're wrong, right? They have to be right. And that is insane. This is why I've always said it, right? Sometimes people don't believe me, but my views are very, very fluid, where I believe my views, but if you can make a logical counter argument, I will see the logic, right? If it's logical, right? Women need more teachers and women role models like her. I mean, yeah.
People can give multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm,
so what you're
absolutely.
getting with these is we already had a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We already were fighting. And then one or both of us
But
cheated. It
commitment-
does not say he cheated on her. It says infidelity. That could mean they both cheated. So one
Yeah.
thing I've noticed about you is you're actually not very good at reading data and interpreting it. You're not actually good
no.
at reading a study and understanding what it says.
No, first thing there says lack of commitment.
And you interpreted that as
marriage is-
infidelity when the
marriage is
next one on the
commitment,
list.
Is it not?
That does not mean there was
So-
infidelity. See what I mean?
Might I just offer clarification from
sure.
what I looked up? So there's two different categories. So now commitment to loyalty or faithfulness could be a thing, but and Rachel is
They
correct.
wouldn't
at least in
separate it
my-
into two categories
there's
if they
two
meant
different
the same
categories.
thing.
Lack of commitment is one category. Infidelity, cheating is another. So extramarital affairs. But so under lack of commitment, it describes it as when the partner stops trying, they feel unappreciated, or decide the relationship is no longer a priority. So I guess in this context, lack of commitment doesn't necessarily imply a infidelity or
As well.
cheating
Gotcha.
necessarily.
It can just be
By the way, that's
together
the
with the
exact
other
same
one.
data that I cited in a portion. We just did a whole brand new debate course on debateuniversity.com. And all you guys who bought part 1, you can get a big discount on part 2, which is all about debating feminism. And in my section, I use that same data to argue my position. So that's how I knew that she was wrong on that and that she was kind of misreading or twisting
The original question and point was, do you believe that women or just people in a marriage that suffer infidelity from the other partner should not be able to divorce their
No,
partner?
I would never say that you should never be able to. It depends. I wouldn't say
She was
that every...
she was literally talking about ways to do. This is a thing where, I mean, like, I'm not talking about in a religious aspect, but I do believe that abuse and infidelity are valid reasons, right? Valid reason for cheating. But this is the thing where definitely abuse, right? Definitely abuse is 100% a valid reason. If your partner is abusing you, leave. But cheating, you could talk about it. Maybe controversially, maybe because I'm a man, right? I think a men's infidelity might be a little bit less of a reasoning. Although, because it's just I just feel like sometimes men can just compartmentalize it, right? Where he's cheating just because of the sex. Maybe you're just not having sex, right? While women, I believe women would cheat, it's more because emotional, right? She feels an emotional connection with somebody. That's why she's cheating. Not because, she wants sex. Because in my opinion, if she wanted sex, she could have just gotten from her husband, right? I don't think women are, they're desiring sex because their husband is not giving them any.
Instance of infidelity must necessitate divorce, though, either.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, should they be able to?
Sometimes.
So
It depends.
Sometimes.
Yes.
Sometimes it's up to what you randomly decide.
I think marriage should be
whether-
governed by the church. And if it's
Okay.
governed by
That's
ecclesiastical
not how
authority,
this country runs,
it
though,
should,
right?
though, and it did. So I'm saying let's go back to that because that was better.
This country is not run by your personal Christian Orthodox.
That's not
values
what I
or
mean.
religion.
Your church. So if you're Mormon, you get married in the Mormon church. And
Fantastic.
that ecclesiastical authority governs your marriage. And if there's a
Yes.
divorce, they help sort out who gets what and what happens. And they are
there's-
responsible for supporting women and children in the case of the husband doing something that would necessitate a divorce. That's how it was through all of history.
Right, non-religious couples or some non-denominational Christian couple gets
You
married.
shouldn't be getting married. You shouldn't be getting married, right, if you're not religious. Controversially, right? Controversially, this woman is too dense to understand that. You shouldn't be getting married, right, if you're not religious. This is why, I mean, like a lot of us in the, in the manosphere, sphere aren't really religious, secular, right? A lot of men in the manosphere, world are secular. They're not religious. We shouldn't be getting married. This is why stupid women like this can talk a whole lot of shit, right? They talk a lot of shit about the manosphere place because guess what? We don't get married, right? Or people in the manosphere don't get married, or they don't promote marriage because honestly, it's not governed by it's because marriage today It's not governed by religion. It's governed by the government. More reason why, red pill men say don't get married. Because one, we're not religious. So one, definitely the religion is not governing it. And if we do get married, the government is doing it. Fuck that shit.
Somebody cheats, or do you believe that they are allowed to legally to get divorced, or they should be allowed to?
I don't recognize secular marriage. It's the same thing to me as gay marriage. All you're doing,
but it exists.
It exists.
Even if you don't recognize
but what it is,
reality.
right? But what it is not marriage. What you have is a secular person going through the state, which is why Brian's against it, and a lot of men are opting out. It's a gay roommate agreement. It's a very homosexual thing in nature, if you ask me. You are like, let's make a boyfriend-girlfriend living arrangement, like Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory, how he would make the roommate agreement. It's a glorified roommate agreement that's enforced by the state. There's no religious duty. There's no moral duty. It's not a lifelong commitment. You have an easier time getting out of your cell phone contract or out of a divorce in a secular situation than you do breaking your cell phone contract. You have better luck. You got a divorce that you just signed the paper and now you're divorced.
Yes,
you have a harder time with Verizon. It's harder to break up with Verizon than that.
Thankfully, the first time around, even though we were young and picked people that we grew apart from, at least I picked a decent person, and so it was we're still amicable with each other and would be there for each other in any kind of situation. But
that's good.
But
I'm just saying, all
again,
it is now it's just a basic roommate agreement, and then you go, I don't like this anymore, so it's done.
It's a really entangled legal situation, especially when shared assets exist, and especially if kids exist. You try to get into a divorce proceeding when kids are involved, and
I went through that.
It takes years to resolve.
In my case, it only took maybe less than 6 months, but it's horrible. But it should only, my view is that it should only be for serious situations. You're in danger.
But
there's something drastically wrong. I don't. But we're talking about who should, and I'm saying it should be the church, because marriage is a lifelong religious sacrament. If all you want is a roommate agreement, I don't care what you do.
I don't make policy recommendations based on religious arguments.
Well, that's
even
a problem.
Even if I hold the same values as you do.
So you're doing the thing that so many.
It's weird that, as a fucking fake ass conservative, she doesn't make policies based on religion. It's kind of fucking weird, right? It really is. This is why it just shows how she's femcon. She's fake, right? Conservatives base shit on religion. Literally, so many Republicans are Christians or whatever. Here's a woman that's supposedly a Republican that don't base shit on religion. You are fucking fake. Whatever live. Yeah.
People like Not So Erudite tries to do this. I have a set of morals for myself and what I think is right or wrong. I have a set of morals, but I'm not going to force it on anyone. I think we should just.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a whatever podcast.
Default to secularism, and that's another big reason why we're in this mess.
So we do have separation of church and state for a reason.
Is morality objective or not?
I think that morality is dependent on what our beliefs come from God, right? Like basically whatever. You know what?
She's talking about God now? It's like it's absolute hypocrisy.
I think there's objective right and wrong, regardless of what you believe according to your religion.
Okay, if that's the case, if we know objectively what's right and wrong, why wouldn't we organize society along that and not just what this person might think is wrong on that day and then Bob thinks it's wrong next Tuesday?
Let me name some of those things.
Sure.
It is objectively wrong to kill a person unless it is in self-defense.
Why?
Right? Because people have inherent human value. So that is, I don't care what.
Well, it was live, right? This thing, it was, I think it was the other day. It was yesterday or so, right? So it was live yesterday. I'm watching it today, right? So I could scrub through it and shit.
What your religion is.
And you think that's based on God?
I think that's an objective moral.
I mean, it's not live anymore, right? It was live yesterday. That's when I think they uploaded this. This was it was live yesterday.
Basically, decision.
But what if someone doesn't believe that? What if somebody says, I don't think that people have inherent human value?
I'm giving you an example of things that I believe are across the board that I don't think matter or change depending on a person's religion, like the right of a person to live, unless, of course, they've threatened somebody else and whatnot. So I think that's an example of that. And
how's it live now? Oh no, whatever is live. I'm talking about this debate. I mean, whatever has a live every day, I believe.
Has to name one.
Sure.
So yes, objective morality does exist. There's.
Are you done?
Here, let Rachel.
Let me explain what actually happened. So she's conflating and saying women were not allowed. That's not the case. Banks for the most part, did not often grant loans or credit cards or accounts to women who did not have employment, the same way they wouldn't now. So if you went to a bank now as a man and you're 25 years old, you don't have a job, you live at home with your mom, you don't have any established credit, and you don't have any way to pay a loan back, are they going to grant you a loan? No. Okay? There was no law saying women cannot have these things. It simply was the case most of the time. Now, there were plenty of women, and I have multiple examples in the feminist debate course where I show you all the women who did have bank loans, credit cards, bank accounts. Going back to the 1700s, women had these things. It just wasn't most women. You often needed your dad or your husband to sign for something because you didn't have a job, because you were where you belonged in your home, raising the next generation, which is the most important thing a woman can do with her life. So yes, so what she just did was present disingenuous framing that makes it sound like women weren't allowed these things. They were denied it. And what this Equality Act she's talking about, this Equal Financial Opportunity Law, what that did was bullshit. That was
that's a great.
It was bullshit because what it did was force. It's the same thing we do with everything else, all this DEI stuff, all
Forced
of this.
to not discriminate based on gender.
Just shut up for a minute,
That's
and
it.
you can learn. You can
That's
learn.
it.
Yes, we force institutions to grant loans. We say you have to give them this. You have to give them
No.
that. You have to prove.
That's
prove
wrong.
that you're not discriminating
That is
based on
false.
sex by offering women these things,
That's-
even if you know it's a financial risk, even if the bank wouldn't normally make that decision
No, that
for
law-
business
this
reasons.
is false.
Okay,
Objectively
so this
false.
law, what this law did was force the hand of the government to step in and try to force equality, and you say you're against that. You say you're against the government coming in and forcing equality, but you back all this DEI nonsense. You
said
back
a lie.
affirmative action.
You just said a lie, which is that this law forced banks to give women loans, and it didn't. All it did is guarantee that they didn't discriminate on the giving of loans or credit based on gender.
Don't you think that
Not
banks?
forcing-
Don't you think that businesses
not-
should
that
be
is-
able to deny service to anyone they want for any reason?
by
or no?
gender? Because of gender? No, absolutely not.
okay. Well, that's a progressive position.
No.
Do you think
no.
that bakeries
Let me
should a Christian
finish.
bakery have to bake a gay wedding cake
Let
too?
me finish. I'm talking about financial rights, right? No, I don't believe a bank should deny any kind of services to people based on their gender, because then they could also deny services or loans or credit based on race. It should
But
be.
it- but
It should
it
be. Rachel,
wasn't.
let me finish. It should be based on the person's credit.
You didn't even let her finish. You were cutting her off the whole time. It's like, this is the utter hypocrisy. This is the utter delusion. You were cutting her off the whole time, and now you're saying to let you finish. Absolutely idiotic.
History, ability to pay back, all of that stuff. The things that normally
Yeah, it's a whole lot of stupidity coming out of her fucking mouth.
banks take into consideration.
But that's
to
not what
give
that
credit,
did. That's
to
not
give
what that
credit.
did.
Yes,
because it was
Yes,
telling
it is.
banks,
It did
hey,
not force banks to
yes,
give credit.
It created a situation where the government is now watching the bank, and if they don't have a certain percentage, it's the same thing they did with DEI hiring and with affirmative action in college, letting women
just-
and
that-
minorities
you
into
just pulled out of
college.
the bag.
Let her
I
finish, let
didn't.
her finish.
So what this did was a bank might look at a woman and say, okay, she just got divorced. She's only had a job.
She's conservative, and she's supporting DEI. I'm like, you sound more feminist than a lot of feminists.
For a month, the odds of her being able to pay back a loan or a credit card are like not good. Normally, as a business decision, we would say no to this person regardless, but because she's a woman and we have to show a certain amount of women on our payroll, on our bankrolls that have accounts
That doesn't
so that we
happen.
don't get investigated and accused of denying women's rights.
That doesn't happen.
Now
Rachel.
we're going to do that.
That
Yes.
doesn't happen because the bank can then prove, no, the reason we denied this
I think we
woman,
should have left
the
it up to
reason why we
banks to
denied this
decide.
woman, credit is because she just, got divorced and she just,
They should be able to deny you credit
can
based on
prove it.
anything
if
they want.
somebody inquires
I
about
thought
why
you were
they
a
didn't-
libertarian.
if
Why do you want
somebody-
Exactly. It's like telling her the sky is blue, and she goes, "Yeah, but it was green yesterday."
government coming in and telling the bank
if
who they
somebody-
have to loan money
If
to?
somebody
Let her
inquires about, if the government decides to investigate a bank and says, oh, you're giving 80% of your credit and loans to men and 20% to women, but the bank can prove, here's why we denied most of women's applications, they wouldn't get into any problems with the law. And this,
Okay.
and this,
if
and
you're
this-
if you're a major bank, are you going to take that chance? No,
and this
of course not.
opportunity and this act made that the case. It didn't force banks to give out credit or give out loans to people that didn't deserve them. That's actually something that.
But women were
that the-
allowed. But the whole point
That's
is,
something that
prior
the
to that,
Clinton-
women were allowed
that's
to
something-
own property, have jobs, have their own money. Were they not?
That's something that the Clinton administration did, and that's
She would love the Clinton
a big
administration.
reason why we had the whole 2008 housing
Yes,
market crash.
exactly. So are you saying that it was illegal for women to have their own money or property prior to 1975?
So there's something called coverture laws, right?
Yes.
So if you were a married woman
Right.
and you have joint property with a man, and that man was away for business or war, whatever, you still had no legal identity. It means that you could not sell the property or do business without their consent or anything like that. So no, you didn't have any kind of legal business standing.
Right.
So again, they did not have rights outside of the presence of a man.
Okay, that's
in a legal marriage,
but,
where they both owned property supposedly.
But here's the problem with that. If you go back to, again, the anti-suffragist arguments to the suffragists in the late 1800s, the middle 1800s even, the state of New York, this varied a lot by state. So this was not federal, most of it, for most of history. In the state of New York in 1870, if you were a wealthy woman and you went into a marriage with an inheritance or an expected inheritance, and maybe you already owned property, maybe you had a wealthy dad and you owned a piece of land, in the state of New York, your husband was not allowed to get that in the divorce. He was not allowed to sell it or do anything with the land or the property or the money unless you said in front of a judge that you were giving him permission, and the judge had to be reasonably assured that you were not being coerced or forced or in any way pushed into doing that. Okay. And the women who were against suffrage cited these laws. There were breadwinner laws and there was other types of laws. They cited this as, look, we've got a really good deal, and if you make us politically equal with men, all this equality, feminism stuff, we're going to lose privileges and protections that we now enjoy under the law that we want to keep.
And that we,
so
can,
there were
that we
a
still
lot
have today.
No, there were a lot of protections in place for women that we don't have anymore. So if I had been divorced in 1870 and not 2006, I would have not been in the situation where here I am, a single mom with kids, and because my husband got into all kinds of trouble and I had to divorce him, now I've got to try to figure out how to support them. I've got to get a job, I've got to get on welfare, I've got to put them on Medicaid because I can't afford.
You think laws are more fair back in the day than they were now? When it
laws
comes to
back then
divorce?
protected vulnerable women better than they do now, yes, and I have data that can prove it.
I disagree with that position.
No,
completely.
Okay, so when the church would step in and...
Forget about the church, the law. Like, we're talking about legal marriages.
Why do you want the government to do all this if you're...
I'm talking about reality right now.
You said you want individual rights, but then you'll say, but I want the government to step in and protect women. Which is it? You have to pick one.
I'm saying what we have in place right now, the protections in marriage and in divorce laws, you think that was better back then than that it is right now? That
yes.
it protects... I completely disagree with that.
As a broad picture,
for many
yes.
reasons, I disagree with that because nowadays,
because you want the right to
courts take into consideration contributions beyond financial when it comes to marriages. So that's why.
I do have to let some more chats come in here.
Yeah.
We have Redacted 92, totalization of reproductive control in females with secularization and feminism yields this pathology. The beast of vanity consumes females from within, ironically fulfilling their fear of obsolescence.
Deep stuff.
That was some Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Shakespeare right there from Redacted 92. Thank you very much for your message, guys. We have 6 messages we need to get through. Guys, if you want to get a message in right now,
at least in Florida, where I'm from, an equal or close to equal amount of women own guns as men, and it doesn't matter whether you're, 7 feet or 5 feet as a man. All you need is a small little handgun to be at equal.
Yeah,
I'm actually equal levels.
I'm actually a firearms instructor myself, and I teach
Fantastic.
women.
So you understand that guns are the great equalizer.
And what I understand is
so
that,
I don't think
but
that
as a whole, so like on an individual level, if there's an attacker coming at you, your best shot is a gun for sure.
Yes.
A pew pew. I
And
don't know if you can say that on YouTube.
Yeah, and if men wanted to take over and stop letting women vote, you don't think women with guns in this country would do something about it?
Describe to me how you think that would look.
It'd be terrible. It'd be bloody.
You think that the girls are going to...
ridiculous.
So we just took away abortion rights.
What
did the women do? What did the women do about it? They went into the street and screamed. Everybody saw the videos of the liberal women screaming at the sky, promising they're never going to have sex again, which is like, oh, now you're starting to figure out, like, you don't have to have an abortion if you just don't do the sex. We saw them vowing, all kinds of things. We're going to do something.
Just give her a pink pill and move on. Exactly.
And they didn't do anything.
What were you expecting them to do?
Well, you said they would get guns and take their rights back. I'm wondering why they didn't do that.
Well, it was never a right, and it was never a constitutional right. Where's abortion written in the U.S. Constitution?
So you think if it was in the Constitution, then they would have revolted with guns?
Then they would have had probably a more objective, valuable reason to do that, but it's not, right?
But would they, though? Do you really think women are going to collectivize? So
no, I don't think most women want to kill their kids.
Why in all of human history have women never overthrown men as a group?
Good question.
Yeah,
Usually men have been the ones to fight the wars, to go to war, to choose.
But why did women wait until 1920 when the law changed? Why didn't they just rise up as a group and take their rights before that?
We've never had a civil war that I know of between men and women in any kind of civilization in the past before. Because usually communities operate as one. It hasn't been, men versus women. You could technically say in places like Iran, you have women's rights movements that do, advocate for their rights as
they always have to beg and ask. But who do they have to ask their rights to be granted by?
Okay, I grant you that position. What I'm saying is that rights moralistically do not come from force.
That's just an assertion. What are you basing that on?
From the fact that people have inherent human rights.
According to who?
Do you believe in natural rights?
It's not about what I believe. According to who?
Natural rights.
Whether I believe it or not has nothing to do with anything. If men with guns don't grant the rights, how do you have the right?
It doesn't mean that because men... Again, you're conflating two different things.
You're saying should.
Conflating two different things.
You're saying I think we should have rights regardless, but I'm saying...
Rights don't come from physical differences and being more physically strong in any kind of way. Do you agree with that statement?
It doesn't matter if I agree.
Okay, I'm asking you, do you agree that rights do not come from objective, like physical force?
Let me just grant that I do believe that. Can you prove that? how can you demonstrate that rights do come from, they just exist, right? They're just granted by what? By what?
I think they're natural rights.
They're natural,
Yes.
okay. And so what happens if tomorrow the men violate your right to vote and they stop letting you into the polling center and they say, you can't vote anymore, Brianna, you're a woman, we're not going to let you.
That'd be a bad thing.
But
I'm
what
not-
would you do about it?
Personally, I mean, I don't know, go somewhere where women do have egalitarian rights. I don't know.
Okay,
First
so
of all, that's not going to happen.
What I'm trying to say is it can't be natural.
But-
It can't be natural, and here's why.
Okay.
The natural state of the world is patriarchy. That's
Yeah,
the natural truth of
absolutely.
how things exist. So
True.
any illusion you have that we have these inherent rights granted to us by God,
I think it's by God.
nature.
Yeah.
You can think it's by God. I don't think that. The Bible doesn't say anything about that. The Bible
This is the thing where this woman is honestly like, how this is I find it infuriating. Okay, it's the sheer level of hypocrisy. You talk about God, yet you said that, you know what, the government should be apart from God, or like my views of religion should be like, it's you're a divorcee, all this shit, like, you know, like you don't really follow the church, yet you talk about God. It's like, it's the absolute headache of her hypocrisy and her delusions. It's infuriating, right? Do you care about God or you don't? Because you talk like you don't, and then when it suits you, right? When the argument may suit you, you bring up God. This is why I say that the conservative party is fucked up, right? This is why I say Republican Party is fucked up, because they're no better, right? Because they're poisoned, right? They're still poisoned by feminism, right? All these parties, right? Feminism is what's the poison. It is women that have poisoned society, because women's insanity has destroyed our society. The matriarchy, right? The matriarchy is the problem. Bring back the patriarchy. Fucking men should lead everything, right? Women stay in the background, help a man. You do not lead, right? Make women second-class citizens again. I don't give a shit, right? Because we need to wake up women, right? We need to wake up women. The society that, because of you, right? Because of women created, everything after feminism is a society women created. And I'm sorry, women have fucked up society. Women have fucked up society, so men need to take it back. Bring back the patriarch. Bring back true patriarchy. Because this shit we are suffering from, right? All the communities are suffering from it. It is feminism that has poisoned everything. Feminism poisoned the black community. Feminism poisoned the dating market, right? Feminism poisoned the dating market. Feminism poisoned politics, okay? Feminism poisoned society. Feminism is all the root of modern evil, right? Feminism is the root of all modern evil. This shit we need to get rid of, right? I'm not saying make women slaves. No, I'm not saying that, but like, shit, just set the fuck up. Get back in the kitchen, right? Talk to your man. Follow your man lead. Ask his opinion. Give him some guidance, but fucking follow a man's lead. Women like this is annoying as shit.
doesn't say equal rights for everyone, make sure the women have equality. In fact, the Bible says men are supposed to be subject to their husbands and to their priests, and they're supposed to be quiet in the church, and they're supposed to ask their husband if they have a theological question, and that they should submit to their husband. That's what God says.
That's in your personal
Okay, so
interpretation.
you believe in like
of the
astrological New Age God, like the universe or something?
No, I think that there's biblical proof and evidence of God valuing man and woman.
Of course,
the
He
same.
values them the
Okay,
same.
so that's
but
what
that
I'm basing
doesn't.
it off
But
of,
no,
Rachel.
that God can value men and women the same, and still He created a system. You talked about
God
naturalism.
created legal systems.
God
Jesus.
created the natural world that we live in, right?
Why do you fucking straight legal system? There are other systems besides legal. Are you stupid or what? I swear, this woman is dishonest, disingenuous, and fucking like rocks for brains. I mean, like, are you supposedly like, what is your college degree doing for you?
Not
And
legal
in
systems.
that natural world,
Or
there
anything
is
like that.
hierarchy.
I mean, like I'll be saying, right? I've been telling folks how females are going nowadays. Handmaid's Tale is coming soon.
Right? There's always people who are at the top and then people beneath them. In every structure, whether it's a business, a government, society,
Yeah.
all structures are hierarchical. There is no
For the
such
most part.
thing as equality. There's always people
For-
with more power. There's people who are taller, prettier, smarter, more talented.
Okay, that's
There's
God's
people,
creation, yes.
Yes, so
They're all
that's hierarchy. That means we're not
Different-
equal.
Different. Well, it doesn't even need to be hierarchical.
We can
It's
be
just
equal in
different.
value. Like,
yes, that's
like
what I'm arguing.
God
There we go.
values women. That doesn't mean he didn't
we go.
grant men authority over us. He granted men authority over us. That's why they're bigger. That's why they're stronger. I know you don't like that, but
I didn't wait.
The proof.
Don't put words in my mouth.
Okay. Well, you disagree with that clearly.
No, I do believe that men are bigger than us, normally
Okay, but-
physically stronger.
You think that we're equal with them, though?
We have equal value, yes. Therefore, we have
Okay,
to
but
have
what
equal
if-
representation.
You don't have equal value, right? You have different value. I'm sorry, right? You don't. You don't have equal value.
We're
But
like
what
going
if-
around in a circle with this.
Equal representation. Okay.
Yes.
Which biblical kingdom granted women equal representation under the government?
I don't know nor care, but I do remember
So you're
reading.
not
but I do
Christian.
remember
What God
reading-
are you talking
but I
about? You
do
could be talking
remember-
about Satan for all I know. What
but
God?
I do remember
what
reading
God do you
in
believe
the.
in?
But I do remember reading in the Bible that Jesus wasn't particularly a fan of politicians. Period.
You
tax
would be wrong.
Collectors
Yeah,
or
that's
anything
not what you
like
think it
that.
is.
So
You don't know anything about any of that. Don't bring up the Bible if you don't know, because I'll just
So,
waste you on it again.
Again, there's so many religions that come out of.
Okay,
the
what
Bible
God do
and
you
all that.
believe in then?
I do believe in the God from the Bible. Yes.
So do you believe in the Bible?
Yes, I believe in the Bible, but
Then show me where in the Bible it says that women have equal political rights with men, or that women and husbands and wives have equal authority in the home.
It doesn't say that.
Okay.
Anywhere.
So then why do you believe in that?
Because I'm basing my argument on God assigning equal value to men and women.
Yeah, they can have equal value, but men can still have authority. Do you think
where in the
men?
Bible
Do you
does
think
it
women and men
prescribe-
should have equal authority in the home or in the
Where in the
government?
Bible does it say, or does Jesus particularly prescribe men vote and women don't?
There's no democracy in the Bible. That's another reason I don't believe in it.
Okay.
There is no such thing as it's monarchies. God granted us kings and gave us rulers.
Okay, so we should go back
So
to
you
monarchies.
don't believe in the
Rachel.
Bible.
We should
I
go
think
back
so,
to
yes.
monarchies.
But
Why
do.
don't you practice? There's monarchies all over the world. Why
Where?
don't you practice what we preach?
Where?
Actually, was it Thailand or one of those
Christian
countries?
monarchies?
Not
If there's a
Christian-
Christian monarchy, that's where I'm headed.
Thailand, I believe, has some kind of sect or some kind
Isn't Thailand mostly Muslim now?
They do have a large
Yeah,
sect of
so
it
I'm
as
not
well.
gonna go there because-
but there are plenty of other places where
Where?
you can live
Show
under.
me the Christian monarchy
live
I can go live
a
under.
closer version, or actually, I think it was the Philippines or Thailand. One of
Again,
those.
not
and they
Christian.
would, supposedly exterminate like drug.
God, you're so stupid. I'm sorry. This woman is like, I swear, she only got to her position because of her fucking looks. She's like decent looking. That's all she got. Like, you're stupid as shit. God, you don't know what you're saying, so don't say it. I swear to God, this woman is infuriating. Because, like, she has rocks for brains. Literally rocks for brains. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about, right? I'm not even sure if I would say it, but I don't think there's any Christian monarchy anymore, right? I mean, maybe the best is like the UK, but even that is like they're not I don't think they're much of a monarchy anymore, right? They're more of a democracy. So there isn't. So shut the fuck up.
Users and whatever across the
Yeah,
country.
Singapore and the Philippines do that.
Exactly. So again, there's a lot more countries on the outside that have the system that you currently like.
Okay, but back to
you don't-
this, right in the Bible, and I think it's 1 Timothy 2:12 says that men are supposed to be in authority over women and that women must submit to their husband.
Again, I'm not going to.
So if you don't believe in the Christian God and you don't believe in the Bible,
can you
if
do
you think
that?
that's
Can you do
incorrect.
that and also vote? Do you think those two are at odds with each other?
You could. Do I think you should? Those are different
So
claims.
that's your personal
How
opinion.
things are versus how things ought to be. I don't think you ought to be voting. No.
Okay.
As a woman.
And we're
Can
never-
you right now? Yes.
Okay, and we're never going to change each other's minds.
No.
on that
But what
subject.
I'm asking you is,
And that's how I go about with debating, right? I know I'm not going to change minds like Allen's or Zyrak necessarily, because in all honesty, some of them sometimes they're so intertwined with their viewpoints, right? I believe, in my honest opinion, right? People on the left, they're so intertwined with their opinions. Their opinions are not as fluid as they claim they are, right? They're not as open-minded as they claim they are, okay? I believe that people on the left, liberals, right? Fake conservatives, they're not as, open-minded as they claim to be, right? This is why I'd rather be on, I call myself center, right? Center right. Because my mind is more, I'm more, yes, all good, Alan. All good, Alvy. All good. Hit that vape. but that's what I'm saying, right? Women like this is like, they're fakes, right? People like these are fakes. They can't, they won't be able to change. They won't be able to see logic. They will only stick to the views no matter what, right? Even if you poke holes into their logic, they will still say my logic is correct, right? My viewpoints, my opinions is correct. Probably get a few shots of whiskey. I know that. I know that shit. Right? And that is the problem, right? That is the problem. And, you know, this is why I can't deal with people like this. But you talk about it, hopefully the audience, right, will see something different, right? Hopefully the audience, you can either change the audience mind or they see what is more logical.
How you are you are the worst, you're the most contradictory woman I've ever debated. You'll talk about individual rights on one hand and then say, I want the government to come in and force equality for women. And you'll say, I believe in the Christian God in the Bible. And then you'll say, well, not that part. I don't like the 1 Timothy 2:12 part. Forget that. And I want democracy, not a monarchy. That seems icky. I think Jesus thought this, even though that's not what the Bible says. I'm just going to make it up.
The only person living hypocritically or not practicing what they preach here is you. Because at the very least, I say, I believe women should vote. I vote myself. I think that
what
is.
Have I advocated here that I don't do?
You quite literally, your whole shtick, your whole thing is women shouldn't vote, but you do so yourself.
Voting is one of the things I talk to.
That is about. Yeah. Voting is the most important thing that came out of the whole feminist movement.
I don't think so. You might say that, but I wouldn't say that at all.
And I disagree with pretty much everything else in the feminist movement.
Okay, tell me what things I advocate for that I'm not living.
But voting,
specifically.
Voting absolutely is one of those, right?
I don't think women should be in politics and voting.
Financial independence. You have your own.
I am not financially independent. You have not even close.
You work, right? Mm-hmm. You have. You just said you were a gun instructor, so you've worked before.
Under my husband, for my husband's company.
Okay, but you do work
for my husband.
Yes, but you are financially independent.
No, I'm not. I don't have any bank accounts that are in my name only. Everything is joint. I don't have any assets that are in my name only. Everything is joint. Mm-hmm. So
if you wanted, if Andrew cheated on you wouldn't be able to get out of that relationship.
Sure, I would. I would be if he decided to be a serial cheater and we went to our priest.
How about just one time? Would you?
It would depend.
I don't.
That's not an
we have
instant.
Different values on that.
Maybe, but I'm not going to break up a family unless I can tell you there's no hope. There's no hope.
Up the family
See, that's what a childless woman would say because I put what my children need above me and my hurt feelings, and it would depend. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's moral, but if it's so, let's take this really common scenario just as an example. A lot of women will get married, have 1 or 2 kids with a guy, and stop sleeping with him. Okay. And it'll have been, the poor guy's gone 5 years and he hasn't been touched. He's tried to talk to her about it. He's tried to reason with her about it. He's tried to go out of his way. He's tried to be romantic. He's tried to do everything he knows how to do to fix it. And she goes, look, I'm just not into it anymore. Ever since I had the baby, it's just not my thing. I just don't want it.
Okay.
If he cheats in that situation, do I think that she should automatically divorce the guy? No, I don't.
Okay.
That might seem crazy to you, but you keep the family together.
I still think cheating is a choice.
Of course it's a choice, and I'm not saying it's all right. And
pretty much.
Usually it can, but there's a...
No, does a choice, but treating your husband like shit is also a choice, right? And you know what? Having kids are a choice. But guess what? It's also a duty, right? Being responsible for kids is a duty. So even if he cheated, right? Is he still providing? Is he still protecting? Is he still taking care of you and the children? Is he still handling his duties? This is why, yes, a marriageless, divorcee, childless woman will have this feminist fucking viewpoint. This fake ass woman, right? This fake ass woman. This is the problem. The Republican Party is filled with women like this. The Republican Party is filled with fake ass women like this. And that is the problem, right?
Lot of dead bedrooms out there.
Or you can, as a man.
If that's the situation you're in, I think...
As a man, can't you just get a divorce yourself if your woman is not fulfilling
Yes, but this is what your whole view...
Yeah, but see, this is the difference between men and women. The men think about their duty as well, right? Their duty is provide and protect. He's still providing for his kids, his family, and he's still protecting. Duty is not necessarily being faithful with a woman that treats him like shit. I mean, I think he... I don't know. It's a touchy thing, but it's like, again, a man is still beholden to his duties, right? Is providing, protecting for his family. That's why the difference between men don't necessarily jump to divorce, because again, he's going to break up his family, right? If he does this. But again, men are humans. So they would think, like, okay, he still has human urges, right? And if he's treated like shit in his marriage, sadly, he's going to try to find something more.
comes from, and I don't mean this as an insult. I'm saying you don't know what you don't know because you don't have children. And when you have children, they come first.
Yes.
Way before your feelings,
I agree.
your,
and I would want to
no
give
matter
them
how badly
a good
you're hurt.
example, especially if I have a daughter, I would want to not show her that somebody can disrespect me and can treat the family badly, and I still stay for the sake of not breaking up a marriage. I wouldn't want to set that example personally.
It depends. So if your daughter found out you were terrible to your husband, you don't sleep with him, you belittle him in front of people, you're a jerk to him, and then he cheats. Because he doesn't want to remove the kid's mom from the home, but he doesn't know what else to do. It's not correct. It's not a moral choice that he made. But I think that's very different from you're being the best wife you can be, you're being a good, faithful woman, and the guy just wants to screw other people. Totally different situation. So that's why I say it depends.
Yeah, I personally do believe that, cheating is a one and done thing. And
again, that's easy to say when you don't have kids.
I know, but I also know that I have consistent moral values. I also know in the Bible.
You have consistent moral values, really? I mean, to be honest, it's just like, it seems like your moral values are all over the place. Like, yes.
Jesus particularly references as adultery for one of the reasons that breaking up a marriage would be okay. It's that big of an infraction.
It can be. It can be.
That big of an infraction.
I've granted that it can be. But I don't think that, marriage is a long time, especially if you get married young. Say you get married at 22, you live to be till you're 82. That's 60 years. A lot of shit's going to happen in 60 years. You're going to hurt each other. You're going to do wrong to each other. You're going to screw up.
And still keep it in your pants. Same for women, by the way.
I agree. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's an always, every time, must get divorced just because somebody had some infidelity. I think there are situations, and there's tons of couples out there watching this right now who will say, yup, we screwed up, he cheated, I cheated, get beaten and abused.
I agree.
Okay?
But
don't listen to these women.
What do you have against women that do decide to put their career first and then have kids?
I don't have anything against them, but I ask them.
Are they losers?
Because it's stupid. Are they losers? I mean, depends on what they say, right? Depends on what they want. Because here's the thing. You're not a realist. You can't have it all. Stop it with the stupidity. These girl bosses, right? These stupid ass girl bosses, you can't have it fucking all. Because most women, you can't. You can't have the great job, the great husband, the great kids. You can't fucking have it all. Stop it. Okay? Because a lot of these women don't realize that, you know what? If you pick the career job, the career path, you might be pushing back opportunities for a family, for a husband. Okay? Because now you got, I already said, I already mapped up the potential timeline. You're not, let's say this again, if you're a career woman and you wait until you're 31, it doesn't mean that once you're 31, automatically a man is waiting for you, right? It doesn't mean that the man that you want, right? The man that you want, that's the importance. The man that you want is waiting for you at the end of 31, right? That doesn't make sense. So let's say women take the boss babe path, right? The career woman path. When they're ready to have a family or a man, it doesn't mean that they will automatically get it. So it takes years. So let's say, like I gave the timeline, you're 31. It'll probably take you 5 years to find a man, to get married, and maybe start having kids. So you're starting kids at 36. Like, seriously, you think that it gets easier to have kids with age? It doesn't, right? It doesn't. This is the stupidity of so many women, right? You're not God. You can't predict shit, okay? So you do things at the best. You try to do things at the best you can, which is usually at the timing, right? You try to pick a man. You use your youth, right? You use your youth to weed through and find the best man you can find. Because again, it's not going to be automatic. So it's going to take years. So it's smarter to use, let's say you're 21. Let's say you took 5 years, right? Just like when I said 31. You're 21, it took you 5 years to find a man. You're 26. You're 26, right? So it took you like 5 years to find a man. So maybe you have kids at 26. So that's the years that you wasted, or the years that you used in your youth, instead of when you're older, when it's going to be harder for you to do things. And then when you have even less kids, you're going to have most likely less kids at 36 than you're going to have 26.
I didn't say they're losers. I think
everything that you said.
I asked them this question.
The women that have,
and I'll ask you the question.
Sure.
What duty are you serving to anyone or anything outside yourself?
Be more specific with your question.
I can't be. Are you performing any duty to anyone or anything outside yourself, or is your life only about you and what you want and serving yourself?
What duty? I wanted to ask you, what duty do you feel I have to anybody outside of myself? But that would just let you talk even more. But I do think that nobody has a duty to any.
Wow, very women empowering that you wouldn't want other women to talk.
Anybody but themselves from a legal perspective or from anything.
I see. So
we do. Let me finish answering your question.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we all have individual choices on the timeline that we pick out for our life, and that I think everybody lives their life as a rational individual that does what is most beneficial to them or what they think is most beneficial to them at the moment. And we don't have a duty to basically make anybody happy.
You know what I really wish, right? I really wish people, like, since she's part of the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, I really wish that conservatives or Republicans would see this shit and kick her out of it, right? At least control your party, right? Like, manage your party, because, like, this bitch, are you kidding? This is a feminist. This is a liberal. Kick her out. Let her join the Liberal Party.
Side of ourselves. So I'm sure a bunch of the people
didn't say
watching,
make anyone happy.
people watching, would love to be like, oh, she should have kids like right now, and get off the mic, whatever, get to it. I don't care. And nobody should
I'm not
care.
saying you have to have kids tomorrow, and I'm not going to. I'm not going to go personal about you because it's not my business, and I don't care, and I don't think that it even is pertinent to what we're talking about. What we're talking about is what's best for society, right? And what I'm saying is men don't get to have this beautiful idea that I don't have a duty to anyone outside myself, because if men didn't do what men do, we all die. So let me give you a scenario. If tomorrow you woke up and it was some weird rapture and all of the men disappeared and it was only women left on the planet. Okay, that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is we wake up tomorrow and all of the women are gone and it's only men left on the planet. Who lives longer?
The women. And will you let me explain why?
Yeah.
So let's say that the women disappeared. The species would die off because only men can.
That's not the fucking what she said, right?
Only women can have kids. So that's it. We are done.
So they live till they're like 70 and then it's over.
We are done.
So
as
the
a
men
species.
make it how long? Like their
I'm not
natural
talking
lifespan?
about, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So all the men live until they're like 80, 90 and then they die.
Yeah, whoever's correct.
Okay.
However, and I'm not saying I'm supporting either scenario, obviously.
Right.
But if men did disappear tomorrow, just by statistically, there's a lot of women in the population that would still be pregnant, and then they would have kids and would repopulate the earth, and civilization would continue.
But
to
what
go
if
on.
all the male fetuses that the women were pregnant with disappeared also?
Okay, sure.
So only babies that can be born as girls.
Fetus is gone. And I love that you asked this because I thought about this question before, because I know you guys have talked about the scenario. Women are fertile, right, for 5 days before ovulation. So let's say a woman had relations with men 5 days prior to their ovulation day and still have the swimmers in her body, not babies, not a fetus.
Okay.
She would become pregnant. And then, yes, she would have a child. And so, statistically speaking,
But all the boys can't be born, though. There's a weird noxious gas in the air
Oh
that
my
only kills
God,
men.
the-
I'm just saying,
now you have to be even more
women
specific.
surviving without men is the hypothetical.
No, that's the hypothetical you gave me. The species would actually survive if men disappeared.
You're avoiding.
because
You're
a
avoiding.
percentage of the population.
You're doing
right
what I
now-
said you would do in my opening, and you're running from the
I'm giving
scenario.
you exactly why that would work. Because right now, as we speak, a percentage of the population worldwide is pregnant right now. Some of them.
Wait,
without-
wait. That's
some
the
of them.
moderator. I'm
some
just
of them.
jumping on
She's
this.
avoiding.
No,
She's
because
avoiding
this
the
is gonna waste
hypothetical.
Some
your
of them
loophole is
without
going to
that.
waste a bunch of time.
It's not a loophole, it's a
It is a
reality.
loophole because what Rachel is trying to get at here is not in the instance where there are women who, yes, there would be women who are actively pregnant, and so conceivably, if those women were able to make it to term and give birth to the child, then that child starts at 0, and then
The species would
they're
survive.
arguable, even if it was only female babies, arguably the lifespan of that child would extend beyond that. But perhaps, Rachel, what if you were to refine your question to you know what? Just either all the pregnancies end in that moment
Right.
too, or pregnant women also die, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's
or
it's
only
just,
the female embryos
it's-
can survive and be born. It doesn't matter. A world of all women,
versus
everybody
a world,
dies.
versus a world of all men.
Yeah.
I think everybody dies. I think it just depends on how
She's
long
been
it is
boarding all
before
night,
either one
exactly.
does. And both scenarios are terrible.
Women, let me help you and tell you what would really happen. The women would survive a very short period of time because they cannot run the critical
Are
infrastructure.
you like a psychic or something?
No,
When you
let me
say-
explain
okay.
it. Water treatment.
No, because she's using fucking logic, which you lack. Because your brain is full with rocks. You lack logic, so you won't understand. That is the problem. It is true that, yes, in a world full with men, yeah, we won't survive after that. But again, we would survive longer because men have tamed the world. Men tame the world. Men build the infrastructures. Men maintain the infrastructures. So, in more instances than not, more men will live out a lifetime than compared to women, because women will be struggling to maintain the infrastructure, even let alone to rebuild new infrastructure. Women would have trouble with it. Okay, women would have trouble with that. And this is the thing where very few women even know how to maintain the infrastructure.
Treatment plants run by men. Power plants run by men. The grid goes down. There's no hospitals. There's no more ways to manufacture antibiotics. There's no heart surgeons. Like, even the females who can do that stuff, who can do surgery, who can do first aid, they can't do any of that without this world. Honey, this is the reason why feminism didn't become a thing until the last 100 years, because technology made and maintained by men is the only thing that allows you to believe you don't need men. Do you get that?
Wait.
Do you get that?
You're trying to put words in my mouth.
Guys, please like the stream. It helps me out. Please like the stream.
Who is saying that we don't need men? Have I ever said that?
You were just trying to evade the hypothetical and act like, well, everyone's just going to die. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who
everybody would
knows?
just die. Society
But
would
the
die.
men could survive way longer, obviously, than the
Okay.
women, because the women cannot.
Okay, what is your point to
My
this
point is
scenario,
that
Rachel?
your belief in women's rights, you have to ask the men to guarantee your rights. Any rights you have are granted, guaranteed, and enforced by men only.
Fantastic.
And the minute they don't want to do that anymore, you don't have them.
Okay.
So if you want to live
Does
in
it make
reality,
it right? Does it make it right? That is my argument.
that's an is statement. That's
Does-
not an ought statement.
Just
Now,
answer the question. Does it make it right?
I don't agree to the same paradigm as you. I don't believe in rights, like human rights. Everybody has rights.
Right,
I have rights. You have rights.
special,
I
and
believe in
equally-
duties. We have duties to each other. We have duties to society.
have
We have
duties, but not
duties to
rights.
God. Correct.
We have duties but not rights.
Correct.
As individuals. That's what you
Yes,
believe.
yes.
Okay, I disagree. I
But
believe
what
we have
you
rights.
believe in is fairy tale stuff.
No, it's
only
practical.
there, but it's only there granted to you by men. Do you understand that?
I understand that, Rachel.
so then you'd better be nice to them, and you'd better stop arguing that you don't need them and we should have our own money.
Or you don't like, or you think like men are not good enough, right? Men need to do some shit to like upgrade to be leaders and shit. No, right? Stop. This is fucking why men's content, right, became to be, right? Came about. It's because feminists like this. Men's content came about because of feminists like this. I like to say this before, right? I like to say this. Feminism is what birthed Redpill. Feminism is what birthed the manosphere. Feminism did it, right? Feminism birthed all this, most of these movements, right? The Passport Bros, Redpill, manosphere, all this shit. Feminism did it. So this is the thing where a lot of these women don't understand that you are the cause of it. You are what started all these things that you're supposed to say. And now you're saying, oh, men need to upgrade so they can be lead. No, men don't need to do shit. It is women, right? I mean, what men need to do is take back control. But obviously, somehow, for whatever fucking reason or whatever, men won't. Fine, whatever, right? But if you want men to, be leaders or whatever, well, women have to be fucking get back in the kitchen or shit like that, right? They gotta, change it up. It's I've said this before. Feminism is the root of all modern day evils, right? I believe that feminism is the root of majority of modern day problems, right? Modern day problems. So that's what I believe. All right, guys. 3 hours, right? It's a long stream. This is like 6. This is 6 hours long, so I'm not gonna do another three more hours of this. It's crazy how long whatever live goes. They're crazy with how long their stream is. But that is it for tonight. You guys are amazing. I love you guys. Hopefully you guys, like the stream. Please check out my other videos. Please like, subscribe if you haven't. Check out my other views. Comment if you guys could, right? You guys are amazing, right? I love you guys. That is it for tonight. But yeah, check me out on my other streams, right? I have a stream. I do stream regularly Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. If you haven't seen, please check them out. Please subscribe, hit notifications, all that whatnot, right? Steve, I'm ending the stream. So, okay, you came in late. You came in late, my brother. I love you. Oh, you've been listening. I love it. Thank you. All right, guys, you're amazing, right? But yeah, that's it for tonight. Later, guys.